As we always like to start the show, Big Sills. What a day, what a time we live in. What a day and what a time we live in here. Oh, by the way, I have to do this right out of the gate. Michelle, thank you very much. You and your company, this company here, sent Big Sills this. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Here we go. Big Sills. Look at that. Hold on here. Look at this. How you doing? Look at it. Got little diamonds in here. Holy cow. Heavy Sills. You know a heavy D? Heavy Sills. How you doing? There you go here, man. Look at this. Very nice. Michelle, thank you very much. They do all the work for all the college teams. How you doing? Look at Big Sills. Gangsta you. Holy cow. Look, they got to get an Eagle one, don't we? We got to get an Eagle one going here. I just see Cowboys on here and Steelers and Texans. What else they got? Dolphins. Look at that. Hey, hey, hey. Look at that, Xander. Big Sills. Big Sills the gangster. How you doing? Look at that thing, man. Holy, but on to me. How you doing? Guns up, baby. Guns up. Look at that bad puppy. Yes, sir. Her a gangster. That's what they used to call Big Sills anyway, man. Big Sills the gangster. I love it. Very good. Florida Gators. That's why I hate your GM. Sills wearing the chain and a Speedo. Sills don't wear underwear. You wanted to go there, so, hey, Hollywood, Big Sills don't wear underwear. I don't like anything encumbersome because, hey, my name in college used to be Tripod, but I'm not going to expand on that any longer. How you doing? And if someone's eating their lunch now, I apologize. Hey, Big Sills Tripod. Tripod Sills. How you doing? So Dak held Kellen back when Kellen left Dallas. Was a better offense. 2 + 2 not equal 4 anymore. Mozzie sucks. Hopefully we draft Barton. The offensive tackle from Duke, you guys are talking. You had a no kizzies. DJ Sills. DJ Sills, how we doing? Huh? Oh, good, man. All right. Let's get into it, man. We got a ton of stuff. Hey, by the way, Steve Tasker's going to join us. He's on the broadcast team of the Buffalo Bills. OJ Simpson passed away. We're going to talk about that here in a second to open the show. And we're also going to talk about my boy Josh Allen, the second best quarterback in the National Football League. How you doing? Look at this. Sills 10-1, Tripod Nation. Love it. I like Big Booty Nation and Big Booby Nation and Tripod Nation. We're all good. Oh, man, I don't know where we're going. We're going to have some fun, obviously. I'm in a good mood here today, and I hope you are as well. We're getting closer, 14 days out to the NFL draft, which is crazy. True. OJ Simpson passed away at the age of 76. I knew OJ very well. I won't lie. I didn't think he did it all the way to the end of the trial. It was one of the most polarizing times in our country and one of the most dividing times in our country between black and white. OJ was a complex person. And I'm going to say some things here that are probably not going to be politically correct about OJ. Let's first talk about him as a player. You can make the argument he's the greatest running back in pro football history. Okay? I mean, here are my five: Jim Brown, OJ, Peyton, Emmett, and Sanders. I think those are the five best running backs in pro football history. And you could throw those names in a hat, and if you put one on top of the other, I'd be okay with taking any one of these guys. Barry Sanders, Emmett Smith, Walter Payton, OJ Simpson, and Jim Brown are the five best players in the history of that position that have ever played in the NFL. Nobody was like OJ, 6'3", 245 pounds, Olympic speed. Never went to the playoffs because his teams weren't very good. He had a good old line, the Electric Company and the Juice. But OJ Simpson, you can't talk about the history of the NFL without bringing OJ's name up. That's when you know you're an important pillar in a particular sport if you exclude a particular player's name. You see, you can't talk about the history of baseball without Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Pete Rose. And yet the baseball writers pretend that they can. They can't. You can't talk about the sport without those three. I think OJ was two people. The guy that I knew, I must have played 5 rounds of golf with him. Did it numerous times at the NFL Alumni World Series of Golf in Orlando. We played at the PGA Grand National a couple times. I was in a foursome with him. I knew him. I knew OJ and he knew me. Obviously, he is a different man once he left his playing days. And everyone knows the story about how polarizing he was. I'll tell you this, OJ Simpson was without a doubt one of the very first pitchmen in my life that I can remember. When I was a kid growing up in the New England area, New York metropolitan area, Connecticut, Stanford, here were the people that do you guys remember those? Xander, this is way, way past your time and way beyond your time here. But remember those old Sears and Roebuck catalogs that used to come in the mail? I'd see Ted Williams in them. He'd do like fishing rods and stuff like that. Remember Ted Williams did those fishing rods? And he would always be in those Sears and Roebuck. And I didn't really know who he was. Then it was Joe DiMaggio. He was Mr. Coffee in Manufacturers Hanover. Then it was OJ running through the airports with Hurts. I think he did like an orange juice commercial. He did a ton of commercials. He was him and Arnold Palmer were really one of the very first pitchmen of all time and rolled it into a television and a movie career. He actually did Monday Night Football for a little bit. He was one of the very first and one of the most important athletes and personalities in American sports. He set the page and the tone for what you see today. Now, I'll say this to you. I never thought OJ wanted to be black. He hung out with all the white folks, hung out with all the Hollywood guys. He has a really weird relationship with the black community. Someone asked OJ in the past, OJ, how's it feel to be one of the very first and one of the most important black athletes? He goes, I'm not a black athlete. I'm an athlete and a personality. Never really embraced it. Kind of even in that trial in a way, it was hard to look at him. OJ had a weird relationship with the black community. Flexing, OJ it was a wild ride for him in his life. Okay? Smiley, OJ said he didn't feel black. Look it up. Google it. His own words. I mean, he had a really weird relationship and he wanted to embrace the advertisers of the white American executives. He knew that's where the money was. I talked to Bob Costas about this, who knew him exceptionally well at NBC. Okay? Hey, real, I'm not black. OJ used to say that. I'm not black. You're like, why wouldn't you embrace that and be one of the pillars? Like LeBron embraces it. He should. Ali embraced it. He never embraced being black. And the black community really had an issue with him. He was such a complex dude, man. He wanted to embrace himself to white America so he could get the advertising dollar. It was important to him. And you get it because he's a businessman too. Okay? So, I mean, obviously, hey, get this. I had Fred Goldman on my radio show, The Mighty 1090, and I had him on. And, OJ, Ron Goldman, Nicole Brown Simpson, Ed Bundy, all that. I had Fred Goldman on. I talked to Fred Goldman. By the way, I know OJ's kids. Just an absolutely complex man with a horrific story and yet a tremendous story. OJ Simpson was one of the greatest personality athletes in American sports history. He was also one of the most reviled and one of the most complex sports personalities of all time. His case polarized America like the Lindbergh baby kidnapping must have back in the 1920s. I mean, everybody was waiting on pins and needles on what the verdict was going to be. Then Rodney King happened right after that. It was really a weird time. And it was a divided time. And that case had a lot to do with it. It's going to be interesting to see how the NFL and the Buffalo Bills celebrate OJ's career. You can't celebrate the man. It's too complex. But his career, make no mistake about it. OJ Simpson went for 270 yards against the Steel Curtain. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I think the year that OJ went 270, which was an NFL single game record at the time, that team had 4 shutouts that year. OJ I think he did that on a Monday night. I mean, absolutely incredible. What a career he had and how great. Gabe goes, they're not celebrating shit. I don't know how you don't. You can't talk about the history of the NFL without bringing OJ's name up. Big Sills, what's up, brother? Big Chain Sills. How you doing? Absolutely. Thank you, Spin. I appreciate it. OJ, great football player, horrible person. Yeah, probably true. Absolutely. You know, it was hard for me to say he was guilty for a long time. I was friends with him. I mean, I have done social events with him. I mean, I've gone to dinner with him and a couple other people. I mean, you never got that. I never saw that. And you're listening to people talking about this and you're going, really? Flexing goes, OJ's innocent in the court records. Yeah, but he's been convicted in the court of public opinion, which means the National Football League takes the court of public opinion more than the courtroom. I get this, when they celebrated the 50th anniversary of the AFL, the Bills and the NFL didn't celebrate OJ. And yet OJ was one of the most important AFL players next to Namath in helping merge that league into the NFL. You can't say AFL without saying OJ Simpson and Joe Namath. Those two guys were instrumental in having those leagues merge. I mean, I can't wait to see how this plays out. Xander said that the NFL Network did something. Should they celebrate OJ's career? I think they should. Remember, man, OJ Simpson was a great NFL football player. Some people can't dissect the two. And some would say this, Sills, he doesn't get the benefit of being celebrated. You celebrate a life, not half a life. True to that, too. True to that. Adrian Peterson's the best running back in NFL history. No, he's not. He's not better than Brown, OJ, Peyton, Emmett, or Barry Sanders. He's not in that top five. Sanders was special. Emmett's the all-time rusher. Walter Payton played on shitty teams for almost all of his career. So did OJ. And Jim Brown, 9 years he played in the league. 8 years he led the National Football League in rushing. He was a three-time most valuable player, and he retired at the age of 28. He's the only player in NFL history to retire with over 100 yards a game rushing. And he did that in 12 games. And his record held for decades as the all-time rusher in NFL history. I mean, Jim Brown my uncle played against him. Andy Robustelli, who's also a Hall of Famer. He said when he ran into you, it sounded like a freight train when it goes by in those crossings when you're waiting for the train to go by and the gates are down. He said when he ran by you, it was like a train going by, and you heard the whoo. That's what Jim Brown was like running by you. Okay? I mean, Emmitt Smith was better. Emmitt Smith is one of the greatest running backs in the history of football, period. When he was at Escambia in Pensacola, Florida, had one of the greatest careers in the history of high school football. When he went to Florida, he was insane great. When he went to the NFL, rushed for 18,000 yards. What more can be said? Emmitt Smith at every level dominated. It wasn't just he got to the Cowboys and was that good. He was always good. There was never a level he didn't dominate. High school, college, pros. Emmitt Smith dominated. So you can't just go, well, that's the Cowboy O-line. The Cowboy O-line was nothing before Emmitt showed up. All those guys were still there. He showed up. Big Sills, here's a question for you. In one game, with everything being equal, who would you take at running back? OJ, Bo, Brown. Yeah. Bo's the greatest athlete I've ever seen. Bo's the greatest athlete I've ever been on a field with. We did a great job against him when we played against Auburn. But my freshman year against him, he crushed us. And he was a freshman. Eric Dickerson was great. One game, I had to win a ball game. Went back what I want. I'd probably take Brown just for his sheer dominance. He dominated. Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, Jim Brown, Jerry Rice. Those are your guys. The rest of them you can fill in. Tom Brady. Those are your 5 greatest football players of all time. I mean, I don't care what people say. Jim Brown, Jerry Rice, Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, Tom Brady. Those are your greatest football players. Their careers speak to it. Bo was special. Bo was special. LJ says Barkley's OJ. Again, way to start the show off dumb. Barkley, He's lucky if he's Tiki Barber. He's lucky if he's Tiki Barber. Hey, don't get it wrong. Did OJ kill them folks? Yeah. Don't get it wrong. But I'm not like everyone else. I don't dissect the guy's life. I look at it all here. The guy was one of the greatest football players in the history of the league. You can't deny that. His personal life, was he despicable? Yeah. Okay. Saquon Barkley is Tiki Barber 2.0. How you doing? Okay. Derrick Henry is a beast. Saquon Barkley is a bug. Barkley's hey, okay, I'll just say this. We'll end this here with OJ. Just an insane talent, an insane life too. And it's come to an end at the age of 76. Okay, let's move on here. It's now been 16 days since Reddick's been traded. Hey, where's his deal? Howie. Every day I start the show, until Hassan Reddick gets a new deal, I am going to nail another nail into the proverbial I F this deal up Howie Gator Roseman. How you doing? How you doing? What a colossal disaster. Disaster. The Hassan Reddick deal's been. He wouldn't have played his final year. Why? Javon Hargrave did. Howie Roseman, Hassan Reddick deal. F. Say it with me. Come on, you pancake-eating Eagle fans. Say it with me. Okay? Look at spin. Reddick will be released. Watch. No way. He's better than Huff. Say it with me. Say it with me. Look at what LJ said. Man, Sills has given us so many receipts. At least I have the balls to make a statement on something instead of waffling around. How you doing? You see, LJ, unlike you, I put my name on shit. Bang! Say it with me. Oh, wait a minute. Now people are saying he's going to get cut, and yet he was the Eagles' best defensive football player. Okay? How you doing? Sills, who was your number one free agent this year? For the Eagles or for the league? It was Patrick Queen. But for the Eagles, it was a pass rusher. And then we did our due diligence and we found out that the guy can't play the run and the pass. We were like, wow, okay. Well, they must be keeping Reddick then. They weren't. How you doing? Bryce Huff. They gave $18 million to a fucking backup. How he screwed this whole thing up. He replaced him with a lesser player. Come on, LJ. You and Dick Train need to get there. How you doing? We move on. By the way, Mark Farzetta will join us at 4:30. Oh, do we have a bunch of good ones too today? How many people think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win against the Green Bay Packers in Sao Paulo? How many people think that? How many people think you're going to beat? Flexing goes, I don't. I do. L, 32-27 Eagles. L, win. Who does Green Bay have to stop us on offense? Got a better defense than you. I have to worry about it. W. Nate. What's Barb say? Farzy. Oh, she loves Farzy. Loss. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm going to get to this. This is going to be a good one. But before I do that, good. Spin. Win. Yes, sir. Heading in two different directions. All right. Let me ask you this. Since we're going to be looking at such young quarterbacks in this game on September 6th, what's Sanders say? Eagles start 0-1. Jordan Love shreds the Eagle defense. What's the ball saying that? I like the question someone asked me a couple minutes ago, all things being equal. What running back would you pick if you had to win a football game? I'm with you, Sills. I don't see any improvements on defense. We actually got worse. Keep cooking. LJ! He doesn't respect real Eagle fans. I know he doesn't. It's okay. He just likes to bitch. He's one of those guys that likes to see the world on fire. You know? He just likes to see the world on fire. Everything being equal, like that question was, you had to build your football team with a young quarterback in this league, and we'll just pick the two participants in the September 6th game. Who would you take? Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts? Start. Hurts. Love. Hurts, who has never done anything remotely close, skill set wise, to Jordan Love, and he's had 3 years. Let's take a look at the 2023 year with both guys. And for the record, Hurts had more talent around Jordan than Jordan Love did. Did he not? Jalen has only had one season, but 3 years starting. That's more of an indictment on him. Even Brock Purdy's played better in his 2 years starting than Hurts has in his 3. So when you sit here and tell me and keep going back to 22, why not? That's all you guys go to. He has 1 year. So does Hurts. The rest of them have been average at best and some below average. You only have 1 year. What are you talking about? You don't have multiple consistency years that I talk about. You do not. Sills, you like everyone over Hurts. Yeah, anyone who's a drop back guy. Well, wait a minute. Let's take a look at what he did. Attempts. 579 for Love. Hurts. 538. So they pretty much had the same passing attempts. Completions. Jordan Love had 372 completions. With a very young wide receiving group and no guys like A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith on that team. Didn't have a 1,000-yard back. And Bakhtiari was out. And not a very good O-line. Waldo goes 3 straight playoff appearances. So did Mark Sanchez. And Mark Sanchez actually did more than Hurts. He went to 3 straight AFC championship games. 372 completions. Hurts, 352. Completion percentage, 64-2, 65-4 for Hurts. Wow, he won one by a smidge. Yards, 4,159 passing yards. Hurts can't even throw for 3,900 yards. 4,000? He'll never see that. He played 17 games. Hurts 38-58 in 17 games with 2,000-yard receivers and a 1,000-yard back and the best O-line in football. And he can't put decent passing numbers up? These are horrible. Jalen, second-team All-Pro, two-time Pro Bowler, and he can't put decent passing numbers up. Touchdowns, 32. In one great year like Jalen's 1 year, Jalen can't throw for more than 24 touchdowns. This guy went for 32 with lesser talent. Hurts 23-15. Jordan Love actually had a higher touchdown and lower turnover rate than Hurts with lesser talent. 32-11. And he had a higher quarterback rating, 96-1 to 89-1. The fuck are you talking about? Case closed. You only have 1 year to fall on? Well, Love has 1 year, and he's better. Dispute it. Well, he took a team to the playoffs. He took a team to the playoffs. Okay? It took a team to the play. This guy took over for Aaron Rodgers, too. Jalen Hurts took over for Carson Wentz. And he actually threw more touchdown passes in his year, last year, than what Rodgers did the year previous. And Rodgers was coming off an MVP season. And the most important thing, he won his first playoff game. Hurts was annihilated. Annihilated. Where is Jalen Hurts better in this conversation? You don't have much of a sample size. Where in the world do you have where you think in one, you have, Xander said this too, even a couple days ago. He was really good in 22. Okay. So Jordan Love was good in 23. You guys have 1 year to go on. Both of you. You forgot Jalen is dual threat at his rushing. No, I'm not, because the Eagles are taking it away. No, I'm not. You didn't go out and spend $10 million on a running back to run Hurts more. You brought him in for Hurts to run less. Where are you coming from? You're making things up. Get this. Train just called me an idiot because I just showed you in the 1 year he had compared to the 1 year where Hurts was your MVP 3 years ago or 2 years ago now. He's better. I'm building my team around Jordan Love. I'm not building my team around Jalen Hurts. You know why? Because the Eagles don't want the RPO. They don't want to use him that way. And Jordan Love's going to have a better career than Jalen Hurts will. I'll tell you what. What if Jordan Love had Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, and Devontae Smith, or DeAndre Swift, and that old line? You think he'd have thrown for 5,000? Your guy's not that good a passer. Oh, and more importantly, he's got Matt LaFleur as a play caller. Okay? And he's got LaFleur as a play calling head coach. What did the rushing TDs in Baltimore mean to the Ravens' success? Or what did they mean? You think if they meant something, don't you think Andy Reid would have those in his offense? Or is it that the quarterback can win from the pocket? Same with Burrow. Same with Purdy. Rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks. Since when is that a thing that wins you Super Bowls? Name me one. Like who? Who has been a guy that's been around 10, 15 touchdowns that has won a Super Bowl and thrown for 30 or 25? Who? Got it. His rushing TDs mean nothing. Not at the end of the day, it didn't. No, in NFL history, it hasn't. He's not getting, by the way, he's not getting paid because he had rushing touchdowns. He's being paid because they think he can be a pocket passer. How many rushing touchdowns is Hurts going to have without Kelsey in the tush push? Probably half that number. Those first downs will be down. He averaged over 30 TDs a year. Not where it counted the most. Got to win games and Super Bowls from the pocket, not rushing touchdowns. What rushing touchdown guy who had over 10 has won a Super Bowl? Can you name one? Let's think. Brady, no. Stafford, no. Manning, no. Roethlisberger, no. Eli, no. Flacco, Foles, no. It's funny, I can't think of one. Steve Young had 10 rushing touchdowns in a year. I don't remember that. And him throwing 30? Russell Wilson had 10 rushing touchdowns? Let me take a look at that. We'll double check that. Okay. Let's see here. See if Russell Wilson has. Russell Wilson stats. Let's see here. Russell Wilson. If he's, let's see here. Rushing touchdowns. Here's Russell Wilson. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1.6, 1.5. There's no 10. He never had over 3. I don't see that. Let's see Steve Young. Steve Young, stats. Let's take a look at this. 15 touchdowns don't mean dick. Let's see. Rushing. TDs. How many? There we go. TDs, rushing. None. His entire career. What are you talking about? Cam Newton never won a Super Bowl. So what? He runs for 15 touchdowns. They don't mean dick in winning the games that matter. They don't mean dick. You keep bringing that up. So it's a useless stat. Yeah, it actually is a fool's gold Kirk Cousins stat that you can add on. Okay? Threw for 26 touchdowns. Did he have 10 rushing touchdowns that year? That's not what we're talking about, dickhead. We're talking about a guy with 15 rushing touchdowns in a season. Has he ever, anybody who's won a Super Bowl in the last 30 years done that? How about in the last 50? None. He had 1 rushing touchdown. Hurts has had 15. Wow. And at the end of the day, it meant nothing. Evan goes, Sills, who's good to you? The guy that needs the less to help a balanced salary cap. Those are the better quarterbacks. Guys that you don't have to overload offenses to and overload one side of the ball. The more you have a balanced cap, the more you have your offense and defense with spread out money That's when you know you have a good football team. When you have one side so overloaded in contracts like you do in Philly, you're never going to be consistent. And that's why you have the peaks and valleys you do when it comes to your ups and downs. Your ups and downs. Dude, you win a Super Bowl 3 years later. You're a 4-win team? Really? Where's that? How's that work? And you're firing your coach? So you win a Super Bowl, and in 3 years, you're a 4-win team, and you fire your head coach and a quarterback who was second in the MVP. I don't know. Sounds like a big swing to me. I'd rather give that to my running back and have a real quarterback. I think that's what the Eagles are hoping. Who has the most successful team lately? Kansas City. The Eagles spend more of their cap on defense than Kansas City. Because they're all on rookie deals. And players that hit. Slagger. The Eagles spend The Eagles spend more on their cap on defense than Kansas City. Why is that? Both corners are on rookie deals. The entire linebacking core is on rookie deals. And almost the entire front seven is on rookie deals. Plus, they have a coordinator in Steve Spagnuolo. And it is balanced. They spend no money in the running back room. Do you know what the running back room in Kansas City spends? $1.5 million. You know what they spend in wide receivers? $5 million. They spend no money anywhere, really. It's balanced on both sides of the ball. They spend money on 3 players. Offensive linemen, I think 2 of them. The quarterback, the tight end, and Chris Jones. Snead wanted a boatload of money. They moved him. They went no. Howie misses on all of his drafts on defense, and it causes for a disruption every 3 years on your football team. It causes that volatile movement. Look at Bradbury. The money you're wasting there. You're wasting $13 million there. Look at the money you're wasting on Slay. You're wasting $12 million. He's not a $12 million player. Look at the money you just gave a backup. Hey, LJ just said Howie wins and Sills doesn't. Dude, you're missing the entire point again. He stops you from winning more. My argument with the Eagles on a day-to-day basis when I do this show is not to tell you that the Eagles suck. You know, maybe this isn't landing right. Thank you, Philly born. Maybe this isn't landing right, so maybe I need to quantify it. My problem with Philly is that they can't get out of their own way to get more success. Sometimes less is more. Step back and let people do their job, and I think Philly would win more Lombardi trophies. That's my problem. My problem is they get in their way. It's about control. That's my problem with them. Do you win? Yes. That's right, James. I hate the complacency and the inability to adjust to the environment around you. Jesus. Hey, can I tell you something? I'm going to tell you exactly how my show is run. You know what Xander does? Xander trusts me. I click on about 5 minutes before the show. I don't go over my show with him. You know what he does? Think about this, Xander. You know what he does? He hired a guy that he's counting on to deliver the goods. Doesn't get in the way, but you know what he'll do? I'll get a text in the morning sometimes that's shitty, or I'll get a great one. But it's never over micromanaging. That is what you call empowering. That is what you call getting the best out of your people. Sitting down with a program director every day that I know more than? Why? I've been doing this for 40 years. Guy's been in the business 2 minutes. Why? How would he know more than me with the ups and downs that I've been through? The rights and wrongs. I've failed more than I've succeeded. Does Xander wants younger talent? No. Xander wants talent. Dude, young, old, new, this medium and this platform has nothing to do with that. Views, clicks, and revenue. Nothing more. Whether you're young, now the young guys have more of a handle on digital than the older guys. And if you're not changing your reference points like I do, you know the problem you have with a lot of the older guys? They're still talking about Jackie Robinson. If you're going to reference Tom Brady, you better reference Patrick Mahomes. Because Tom Brady's soon going to be out of the limelight. Nobody knows. You know, I was at a rental car place. There were 10 guys in the room. I asked them if they knew who Dan Marino was. 2 people did out of 10. That just made me realize right there. Nobody knows who Dan Marino is? Well, I won't be bringing his name up. I won't be bringing his name up. Okay? I mean, circle back. I'm starting my football team with Jordan Love, not Jalen Hurts. Okay? LJ goes, CJ Huzmanzada. Not a bad death piece. Good signing for camp. Who? So we signed CJ Huzmanzada. Who in the world is CJ Huzmanzada? When did we sign a defensive tackle named CJ Huzmanzada? I mean, who's CJ Huzmanzada? Where did he play? Is that the guy from Detroit? CJ Huzmanzada. That's who LJ says is good. Hey, where's the Reddick deal with the Jets? Where's the Reddick deal? I'm still waiting for the Reddick deal. Wait. Where is the Reddick deal from the Jets? Where is it? What happened? Jets get a guy on the same deal at 2.8 million cheaper. And the Jets don't have to give a draft choice up until 3 years from now. Boy, I'll tell you, man, that's quite a move. Holy shit. Some go, Sills, thank God you're not my GM. Well, God, I wouldn't make that deal. Give me a draft pick in 3 drafts from now, and you don't have to worry about paying me for the next 3 years. And I'm going to pay a non-starter 2.8 more than Reddick. What? Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, he's a tight end? Excuse me. I never heard of him. CJ Huzmanzada's a tight end? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. He's a good camp piece. Sure. That's all they sign is campers. Hey, as Zach Cunningham. Dude, the Eagles love to sign campers. You know why? Because they're cheap. Holy cow, you talk about frugal. Well, let me see here. Carry the 6. And, this guy here, man. Howie Roseman is a bookworm. Honestly, he's a bookworm. This guy needs to work at H&R Block. Hey, I got a new one, Xander. This guy's a tax specialist. He's an overhyped tax specialist. CJ Huzmanzada. We signed a tight end. I thought he was a defensive end. Holy cow. And the tax expert thinks that deal is a good deal. No, like Batman, that movie Batman, man. I'm good with numbers. He's like the guy Chow. How can I get Chow back from China? They don't have extradition. I'm good with numbers. He's Chow. I know squealers. And he'll squeal. He'll squeal. Absolutely. He's Chow. He's Chow the banker. Oh, man. Good with calculation. We do not allow cell phones at the NovaCare Center. We don't know. I forgot I had it with me. Okay. Next. Okay. Hey, unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. CJ Huzmanzada. Oh, he's a tight end. Sorry, Sills. You don't know who Seaman Huzmanzada is? No, I don't know who he is. To LJ, he's a good depth piece. Oh, my God. You know what? Yeah, that's like when you hear on draft day. And the guy drafted him in the 4th round from Eagle Creek University, and he's really wonderful. You know, this guy's got great range. You know, I do remember TJ Huzmanzada. He was actually a pretty good player with the Bengals. I actually know him, man. TJ lives in Long Beach. I know, man. Snoop pays him, too, to go over and coach his high school. CJ Huzmanzada is now a member of the Philadelphia Eagles as LJ would say, a good camp piece. Hey, I had a good camp piece once. Whoo, baby. CJ Huzmanzada. He went to Auburn. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, that's a really good place, Auburn, Alabama. You ever been there? I have. Wow. A lot of people look the same. Big Sills, you walk in here a little nervous, man. You know why you're a little nervous when you walk into Auburn, Alabama? Because everybody's named General Lee. or Stonewall Jackson. Yeah. What's your name? Stonewall Jackson Lee? I'm like, I'm okay. Yeah, all right. I locked myself in my room for about 2 days. Say his name properly. He played the sport, fatty. Show some respect. CJ Huzmanzada. He's a good camp piece. Hey, Seals, I bet you'll suck as a GM. Well, I know this. I ain't sending my best defensive football player away for a draft pick that I'll get in 3 years. Why don't you just give me a 4th rounder this year then? Or a 3rd rounder? Or something. I got to wait. And the Jets are paying the same amount of money, and you didn't have the guy on the team because you wanted him off. Because he didn't like the way you used him, which was wrong anyway. CJ Huzmanzada, good camp piece. Gabe, right. No answers. Same bullshit. And you're worse. Howie at the combine with his binoculars. Sends Nick to get the coffee and make lunch plans. Hey, don't forget, too, the Happy Meal lunch. Make sure you get the toy. I'm going to take it back to my kid. I need 2 of them. Thanks, Nick. By the way, wipe your shoes off before you come into my suite. That's how he talks to him. Hey, Nick, when you come into my suite, wipe your shoes off. Wipe your feet off. I don't want to have any tracks in here, man. I don't like anything dirty in here. And by the way, Fetch me some pretzels. All right, let's get to another topic here. You're not taking Jalen Hurts over Jordan Love. He's got 1 year. So does this guy. Show me when Hurts puts 2 years in a row. I'm from Bama Sills. Sorry, Des the Hebrew. Apologize. Sorry about that. Xander went to Bama too, man. Okay? Come on. Hey, Des, you know everybody's named Stonewall Jackson. Roll Tide, Des. Hey, wait a minute. You know everybody's named like Oliver Cromwell and Stonewall Jackson, right? And Robert E. Lee, right? You know guys are named that down there, right? Right, Forstall. My name is General Oberthal Winslow Thorough. I'm from Gainesville, Florida. Yes, sir. My name is Forstall. You know, they had a high school named Forstall down in Florida. They had to just change the name because he's named after a Confederate general. That's a true story. I think in 2021, they changed the name. That's not a lie. Forstall High School. You still have a high school named after a Confederate officer. Yeah. Okay, great. Hey, I'm sure that was really popular with the black players going to school there and playing. The school's named after a Confederate officer. Yeah. Probably a lot of winning. And I'm not going there. Love didn't look great in the first 6 weeks. People forgot that Aaron Jones went off too. And he's now gone. Josh Jacobs is a beast, though. Hey, Dave. Well, people forget that Jalen Hurts stunk the last 7 weeks of the season, and that was his 3rd year starting. What happened there? Okay? What happened there? He has more experience, and he fell on his face with more talent. Okay? Already done it, Anthony. I mean, what happened? Jalen flopped on his face. Bang. Like a mannequin in a showroom. Bam, hit the floor. How you doing? If you watch tape of Jalen at college under Doug, under Doug, Nick, Shane, and Brian, you'll see one common theme, a complete lack of motion. Is that confidence or is that Jalen refusing to use it? No, Sam, I don't think he has enough reps on reading defenses. And that's why he holds the ball too long, and that's why he gets sacked. And that's why people blitz him. Because the more you make him throw, the more he's going to be inconsistent and he's not good enough. He has Wentz syndrome. Wentz wasn't good enough to read progressions. And that's why he pat, sack. Seeing the same shit here. No. Xander goes, come on, dude. Enough reps? I mean enough reps throwing the ball. He just doesn't have enough. He doesn't. Now he had him last year and he had high turnovers. They gave, in his 3 years, this is the year he threw the most, right? Well, it resulted in the worst output. Put some respect on my man, 4-barrel Daryl. Yeah. Dan, are you tuning UFC? I am tuning into UFC 300. 9 or 10 champions are going to be in that thing. Big Kim and I will be watching that thing for sure. Okay. A sales, John Clark is reporting that CJ Husmanzada is another weapon. Of course he is. That guy must get a free meal every day when he goes over to the NovaCare Center. Hey, Howie must wash his feet like the Pope does when he goes to those prisons. Thanks, John. Thanks, John. Another one of them guys. He's another one. You want to feel good? Go watch and listen to some of those tweets he tweets out. Holy cow. Since I teach at Auburn, Shut up, man. It's a good school, James. The girls AU beat the U. Okay, where they're all. I like plastic, actually. I'm an implant fan. I don't know about. Wait a minute. I don't want to handle or kiss recycled products. James, I'm sorry, dog. I'm going to have to completely disagree with you. Implants over natural. I'm going to take the implant. Hey, but that's me. It's like taking apple pie and cherry pie, whatever you want. That's just me. Okay. I'm more, I'm gonna. Sorry, dude. I'm where we are here with this. Look at Xander. Xander's young. He doesn't know any better. He goes natural. No, I don't want anything natural. Oh, I don't want anything. So wait, roll back, reel it in. I'm starting my football team with Jordan Love. Jordan Love's going to run circles around your defense in that opener down in Brazil. I say he throws for 450 yards. Won't be a guy to cover and won't be a guy to tackle Josh Jacobs. That offense is going to put up over 500 yards in that defense. You won't have a shot. You won't. Barkley gets hurt in the first game. You watch that thing unravel right away. It's 0-1. It's an L. God forbid you got to play Cleveland next. So you'll go from him to Watson. And you can't go like this. Well, Watson's trash. Really? You don't think Watson's better than Tyrod Taylor and Drew Lock? Really? Hey, I'm not talking about Deshaun Watson being a superstar like he was in Houston. Watson is trash. You got murdered by worse quarterbacks. Worse quarterbacks. Nope, Watson is watched like Russell. Really? And you got beat by Tyrod Taylor. Zach Wilson. I mean, what are you talking about? Guys that may not be in the league. Oh, that's a good one, Anthony. I sure hope those guys are in shape. You know why? You're going to be on the Tropic of Capricorn. And you're going to be on that line there. They call it the rainforest for a reason. Hey, Jordan, you better make sure you don't have a lot of White Castles heading into that game, kid. Because it going to be a little sticky down there in the rainforest. You better be in shape, fat body. Because if you're not in shape, holy shit, this guy won't make it through warm-ups. You better be in shape, biggin. Seals, you always bring up Drew Lock and Taylor, but never Mahomes and Allen. That's because, it shows you the pivot and how you can win a game and how you lose a game. It shows you your shitty coaching and your shitty direction and how your players quit on you. How can you beat Mahomes and lose to Zach Wilson? How is that possible? Mahomes doesn't do shit like that. This teams get better towards the end of the year. James, I got to read this. As a Boozer fan, you are, I think, be happy with CJ Huzmanzada. No men. Because he's a good passing and running blocker as well as route runner. Dude, you don't get rid of really good football players that are young. Nobody does. Well, no, not even the Eagles do. Okay? Do you know for a fact Davis was getting fined for being out of shape, or was it just a rumor? Well, that's the mouthpiece known as Howard Eskin. So you probably have to take it verbatim because they probably wouldn't let him say that if it wasn't true. Didn't Mahomes lose to the Raiders, O'Donnell? Yeah, but then what happens is, here's the difference here when you use Mahomes losing to O'Donnell or someone else. Jalen Hurts. He's Super Bowl MVP. without 15 rushing touchdowns. Okay, should have been Bowers, not Boozers. Thank you, James. Mahomes won the Super Bowl. Sam, I know. He brings up some shitty quarterback that the Raiders lost, and they were working with their young wideouts, who no one had 1,000 yards last year. And Mahomes was working with these guys. I'm not even sure anyone had did anyone have over 900 yards last year in that Kansas City wide receiving core? Did anybody? And they win the Super Bowl, and he's the MVP. Yeah, be careful when you bring up Mahomes' name. He's an outlier. Don't bring him up. Fact is, we got lucky on some of those wins. But without Jalen, no shot winning some of those. Jalen cost you the Jet game. Jalen cost you the Jet game and a Super Bowl. As good as he played. If the Eagles won in 22, who's the Super Bowl MVP? Get this. If the Eagles had won in 22, who's the Super Bowl MVP? Yeah, well, if peacocks could fly and shit through feathers, sitting on top of a rain tree, who would be the king of the forest? I don't know. If this happened back in 2022, pretty soon you're going to need a walker. Got him. No, you didn't get me because it never happened. How could you get me with something that wasn't true? It's not true. It never happened. What if? What? Maybe this. Probably this. Got to see this. What if this happened? What if that happened? That's not reality. You're living in a pseudo world that's not real. Well, what if this happened? I don't know. Just saying. No, you're saying something that didn't happen. So it's not relevant. Stills, how many yards will Hurts throw for this year? 3,700? Well, here. Let's do this. This is very simple. We've got a pretty good sample size. We're at 3 years now starting. Jalen Hurts stats. Pretty easy, I would think. Right? Figure this out. So, 31, 37, 38. So let's just say this here. Okay, 3,800. Let's see here. 3,800 plus 3,700 plus 3,200 equals 10,000 yards divided by 3. About 3,500 yards. Throw for about 23 touchdowns. Around there. 3,500 yards and 22 touchdowns. And 18 rushing. That's what he's done. Well, why do you think he's going to do more than that? You think he's going to get healthier? Kellen Moore. Okay. Let's see. Now I see how he's not the problem. It's these fans. Yeah. Seals, Hurts and Barkley been working out together. They ain't playing around. Okay. Seals, I agree with your take on Mahomes. Even thought he lost games he shouldn't have. He has a staff that can make adjustments week to week. Hurts is not as fortunate. Correct. And they're trying to change him. Reed and Mahomes have trust. And you know what those two guys also have trust in? Steve Spagnuolo. Absolutely. It's a better run organization. Veach is a better – get this. The three-headed monster in Kansas City is superior to anything in the NFL right now. Brett Veach, Andy Reid, really four. Think about this. Hey, how many places have this dynamic? You got the best general manager in football. You have the best head football coach, play calling wise, in the NFL. You have the best quarterback in the NFL, and you have the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. There's really only one place close to that. That's the Los Angeles Rams. Okay? That's because the Rams, nobody would ever confuse Nick Sirianni for Sean McVay. Okay? Nobody would ever do something like that. Okay? Yeah, no, I mean, Laurie's definitely is a problem. Well, Christopher, the only reason that he's a problem is because he meddles. That's it. Gary goes, come on, Sills. What did I say that was wrong? Sean McVay, you would actually put in Nick Sirianni's league. He's won 2 NFC championship games. He's 40 years old. He has a Super Bowl title. I'm not sure what you're talking about. He's the second youngest coach in the league. I mean, Brady and Mahomes is not about stats. It's about making the play when the game is on the line. Well, take a look at this. You think there's any coincidence when Nick Caserio was in New England? You had Nick Caserio. Look what he's doing in Houston. Okay? Look at what he's doing in Houston. You had him up in New England. You had Bill Belichick. You had Josh McDaniels, not a head coach, it's a coordinator. You had Tom Brady. You had Belichick as a D coordinator. That's why they won Super Bowls. Because all those dynamics. You know why they don't win the Super Bowl in Green Bay? Got the best quarterback. Do they really have the best coach in the NFL? Probably top 10. I would say Mike McCarthy and Matt LaFleur. I actually think Matt LaFleur might be a carbon copy of Kyle Shanahan, something like that. He's a pretty good play caller. But they don't have really any really great defensive coordinators up there. And they get beat most of the times on poor decisions that LaFleur made going into the half and also 2-minute drill by not going for the 4th down instead of kicking the field goal. Okay? Shouldn't have done that. So they kind of panicked a little. That's experience. Okay? Sean McVay is spectacular play calling head football coach. Sills, that was a great point on Kansas City. We never mentioned Veach, but we always mention Howie. Why is that? Sustained success keeps the GM out of the spotlight. Howie loves the spotlight. How many times have you ever seen Brett Veach speak? Or how many times have you ever heard him involved in a decision when it came to coaching? That's Andy Reid's room. Brett Veach doesn't get in the room and in the way of coaching. By the way, you want to hear something else? Who do you think hired the guy who was accused of rape, Matt Ariza? Who do you think hired him? Who do you think went, let's do this? That's right, Bob. Kansas City, Veach, Reid, Spagnuolo, Mahomes. That's right, Bob. They all said, let's take a gamble on this. And you got a game-changing player that could change field position on you with one play. That's one of the hidden signs that Kansas City has that is going to help their special teams beyond belief. When the Bills fired him, he was averaging 49 yards a punt. You put that on Kansas City with a 3 and out, and they're back on their 20, and this kid puts you back inside your 20, that changes the room and helps Spagnuolo out so much. Is he that good? They call him the punting god for a reason. They call him the punt god for a reason. Cheap too, because he needs an opportunity. Okay, that to me is without one of the best, one of the absolute best. By the way, we're going to talk. We got to take a time out here. And we got to take a time out because we have our friend Steve Tasker coming on. We're going to talk a little bit about the Buffalo Bills. We're going to talk a little OJ with him too. He is a 7-time Pro Bowler. He is a 5-time first-team All-Pro. If Devin Hester can get into the Hall of Fame for being one of the great special teams guys, that guy deserves to be also in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and special teams. He's part of the broadcast team. We will talk to him, the significance on Stephon Diggs not being there. He's at the bottom of this hour. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans, were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything. Everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Red Sills National Football Show. Jared Goff with a weak moment. The Detroit media and the Detroit media members almost relish in negativity. Shut up, guy. That's why you're not in LA anymore. Because you're weak. Suck it up. Bag up. Honestly, guy, bag up. You're the starting quarterback of a team that made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. Bag up. Some guy sitting in a cubicle at the Detroit Free Press talking shit on you. Really? Bag up. I mean, I think these guys really are mean. You got to be kidding me. You let a guy like that. Hey, look, it's one thing if a guy F's you over. Like, I'm a scoreboard guy too. Guy in my career, there's one guy in your Philly market who I hate more than anybody on the planet. And I don't like the word hate, but I hate that guy. He's a liar and a two-faced. I'm not going to say his name because I promised the Krauses I would. But I'm telling you, I fucking hate that guy. Other than things like that. But for me, some guy talking shit on me. Hey, look at what Mark Holmes did. At least he had the baguettes to come on the program. You heard me talking shit on him. He had the baguettes to face it. Hey, Jared Goff, bag up, dog. Show me a little bit of toughness. Maybe that's part of the reason why you can't get over the hump, because you don't have the intestinal fortitude, nor do you have the killer instinct to go after people. You got to want to kill people. You got to have that mentality. And by the way, for those softies out there, it's a euphemism. Look it up. Okay? You have to have a want to kill attitude. Okay? You got to want to kill. Ty goes, see, Sills, I told you he's a hater. Not a hater, man. I hate losing. I think losing, you show me a good loser, I'll show you a waiter. Okay? I don't like losing. Who should? Hey, man, but Vegas said we're going to win 10.5 games. Did Vegas say you're going to win the Super Bowl? Yes. Great. That's all I care about. I don't care how many wins. You could win 9 ball games. If you win the Super Bowl, that's all that matters. Ask the Giants, who beat an undefeated Patriots team. Who cares that New England was unbeaten? The Giants were 10-6. Did it matter how many games they won? No. Right time, right place, right moment. Sills, are you saying that Howie and Jeffrey have no bags? No. I'm saying that they can't get out of their own way to allow people to do their jobs. It's frustrating. The Eagles are a frustrating organization to cover because there's so much greatness there. Okay? Okay? Think about that. Oh, they were 9-7? Even better. A 9-7 football team beat a 17-0 or an 18-0 football team. Oh, okay. I love Peyton Wilson. I think the kid from NC State, he's got a couple injury issues, though. You know, he's got a couple injuries that people at NC State are looking at. And when they went, and I found out that, you know, there's been a couple things of history there. That's something you got to take a look at. So maybe that's why Adrian Cooper would probably be the best linebacker taken. I do like the kid from Kentucky. Colson from Michigan. It's kind of probably it. Williams, the kid from Miami, I think could be a good project in the 3rd or 4th round, somewhere in there. Okay? Somewhere around in there. Okay? Bob, isn't it funny, Bob? Brady never talks about his 7 Super Bowls. He always talks about Foles and 2 Eli's. You ever notice that, Bob? The ones that got away from him? Bob, he talks about that. Ali talked about the first Frazier fight that got away from him. Tiger talks about a Masters that got away from him. All those guys talk about that. They talk more about the failures than they do the successes. Yeah. Yes. See Jerry Jones? What he said about Michael Parsons? Again, here's another media thing made up by one of the local Dallas guys who just made something up just to make it up when he said Michael Parsons has worn out his welcome. You see what Jones said? Now, Jerry Jones is a lot like Donald Trump. Did you see this comment? Jerry Jones said, hey, I'll take a paternity test first before I trade Michael Parsons. This guy's in the middle of a lawsuit on determining whether or not he fathered a kid. And he's in the middle of a lawsuit. He goes, I'll take a paternity test before I trade Michael Parsons. Hey, you talk about another guy with no filter. I might not want to throw that out there. He's being sued by a woman, and they're trying to force him into taking a paternity test. And Jerry Jones is throwing out there, hey, I'm not trading Michael Parsons. Hell, I'll take a DNA test or a paternity test before I do that. I was like, come again? Hey, come again? What was that? Jera. That's right. MG2. Come on, Jera. I'm not sure I'd be whipping that around the room. Holy cow. Scott Farrell was the first sports talk show I made it a point to listen to when he did Farrell on the bench until I found you. Sean, I worked with, guess who took over for Scott Farrell at KMBR 68? Yours truly. We're dear friends. Farrell on the bench, I took over for him at KMBR 68. Yeah. I took over his show. Then he went to Farrell on the bench on CBS. And then he started doing his national radio show, Farrell on the bench. They hired me to take that show over. Yeah. It was called Sports Phone 68 on one of the true flamethrowers in sports talk radio back in the day, KMBR 68. Had a great time talking to all those lunatics. I was, as Gary Radnich would say, Big Sills was a little too far ahead of his time when I went on the air there. Because when I went on the air, I was a lot like this. And Bob Agnew, the program director, used to call me into the into his office going, yeah, well, we're not going there. And I'm like, going where? Yeah, John Madden had a lot. Hey, Barb. John Madden had a ton of me getting that job, taking over for Farrell. John Madden recommended me that I take over. I went to Black Hawk, had dinner with him, knew his wife and his 2 kids. Yeah, man, no. It was John Madden helped me get that job in KMBR 68. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got it. Yeah. Okay. So, absolutely. Hey, man, I tell you what. Yesterday we had a problem with StreamYard. And I was disappointed because I think yesterday may have been Steve Tasker's birthday. And who did I called? I called Jim Kelly up because he's my Kane brother, right? Because you make sure you tell that dude, happy birthday. I'm going to text his ass. Okay. And he knew Daryl Talley's a dear friend. I love that organization. Marv Levy, God. Talley's a dear friend of mine. I played against, God rest his soul, Ken Hall. Maron. They had so many fabulous football players on that team. Dermot Thomas played for Jimmy Johnson at Oklahoma State. Biscuit. Biscuit is the most disrespected person in Buffalo Bills history. There is nobody who deserves more to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame than Biscuit Cornelius. What a great Alabama Crimson Tide man. And I'll tell you what, because he lost 5 Super Bowls, I say this. I think he won 5 NFC championship games or 4 AFC title games and 1 NFC title game. And that's how I position it with all these Bills guys who are in one of the greatest runs in pro football history. He's part of the broadcast team. I talked to Devin Hester, and I got to tell you, Steve, I said to Devin Hester yesterday, hey, congratulations on making it to the Hall of Fame. I'm having Steve Tasker. He goes, well, I want to say this to you. That guy's got 6 Pro Bowls, and he's a 5-time first teamer. How did I get in before him? And that's my Miami Hurricane brother saying, I thought that was pretty cool, man, that he would think that he thought you were in already.
Oh, well, yeah, no. Yeah, let me turn it this way. Yeah, no, I'm not. And hey, Devin Hester, what a tremendous player he was, and you know how it is. Dan. I'm flattered to be in the conversation. Whether I ever get in or not, I wouldn't change too much about my career, except maybe one of those Super Bowls might have gone my way, maybe. But other than that, I got nothing but great feelings for the league and for everything else that's happened to me. It's been a total blast to be a part of the league for as long as I have, and to have guys like Devin Hester say nice things about you is just cherry on top of the cake. It's awesome.
Steve, and like I said, when I get Jim on my program when he's feeling well, I always position it that you guys won 4 AFC title games, and I never position it where you guys lost 4 Super Bowls, because I don't think in our salary cap era we'll ever see anything like that ever again, where you're going to see a team go 4 times to that game. How do you look at that time? And before we get on to the modern day Bills, how do you look at that era for you? Failure or success?
Oh, believe me, it was a successful time for us. I mean, and he measured, certainly, we never won the championship, but, we're looking, you look at it at the relationships we made and the friends we still have, and how it affected our lives in a positive way, and what it meant to the community, what it meant to the organization, what it meant to our families and friends, and what our friendships still mean to each other. Our lives have been nothing but enhanced by those teams that I was on, whether they won the championship or not. And I know that's not exclusive to that team. There's guys across the league who never played in the Super Bowl, who can look back on their time with the teams they played on, the guys they played with, the coaches they were coached by, and look at it as nothing but a positive. And I'm sure all the guys I played with look at it as a blessing and something that was awesome to be a part of. We were in an era at that time during the 90s and all the way through the 2000s and the late 80s, all the way through the 2000s, that the league was on rocket ship acceleration. It's now an 800-pound gorilla, and we were part of them expanding to that. It was certainly popular during the times I was growing up back in the 60s and 70s. And then to see the league mushroom like it has, it was awesome to be a part of it. And the fact that I was with CBS for 2 decades and doing games and watch the growth of the league and was kind of there to describe it and commentate on it, plus the fun that I've had being back with the Buffalo Bills doing radio for them. Dude, it is awesome. And to look back and say that the time that I've spent in the NFL, both as a player and a broadcaster, was anything but successful would be hard sell.
Absolutely, man. I think you've had post-career and also a great career too. It's been a wonderful life for you here. Let me get into the modern day Bills here. Am I crazy when I say this to you, Steve? I think Josh Allen's going to be a better player without Stephon Diggs. And it's not a popular take. And I say this, now you're going to have to distribute the ball more like you see in Kansas City. You're not going to have a one-target dude. You're not going to be as predictable throwing the targets. Even in Philadelphia where we're based, 35% of the throws go to A.J. Brown. Well, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I know that the majority of my defenses are going to be skewed to that particular side of the ball wherever he's lined up. So it makes him better. Now there's more pressure on him. Am I crazy for that take?
No, I don't know if there's any more. I don't know if there ever could be any more pressure on him than what's already there. The guy already, wears the franchise like a cape. I mean, everything hangs on his shoulders anyway. I mean, there's nothing extra you can put on him. And the fact that Steph Diggs isn't there is, I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but that doesn't put any more pressure on Josh. He's still the one pulling the trigger. I think they've got guys this year that they're more depending on and more dependable than they knew about last year. Dalton Kincaid is a true number 1 tight end coming in this year. Khalil Shakir spread his wings late last season, and truly, you go back and watch the tape, Khalil Shakir is a dude. He is a player that really came on late last year and is the slot receiver every team wishes they had. James Cook was exactly the kind of single back that the Bills have been looking for. He's a great runner inside the tackles. He catches the ball well, runs routes well. His only knock last year was he had a couple of drops that he would have had 3 more touchdowns, stone cold touchdowns, and they were so easy. He lost concentration, dropped the ball 3 times in 3 different games. It cost him a touchdown. Now, one of them you can make a conversation about, or have a conversation about maybe it cost him the Philadelphia game where he had one down the sidelines and it was a TD and he dropped it in that overtime loss in the rainstorm. Those kind of things happen. But those three guys, Khalil, Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, James Cook, I think, and plus, they got Curtis Samuel from the Washington Redskins. They got KJ Hamler. And they've got some guys in the building who were on IR last year who they have high hopes for. Yes, Steph Diggs was a great player for the Bills, but I don't think the production in that spot is going to fall off a cliff. It may not be 1,100 yards and 108 catches, but it's not going to be zero. And I think any guy who lines up out there with Josh Allen pulling the trigger is going to elevate his game a little bit. That goes for Curtis Samuel, Shakir, and Kincaid, and whoever else might be there on the draft board in late April here.
Steve, you know this as well as anyone. I say this to people all the time. Aaron Rodgers is a better talented quarterback than Tom Brady, but Brady's a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers because he sees the game. There's more than just, Tom Brady, I'm not going to say he can't jump over a stack of quarters, whereas Aaron Rodgers is more of a gifted guy in the perimeter, the way he moves. I look at Josh Allen, and then I see, of course, Jim Kelly. I look at Josh Allen. I think he's a more talented player than Jim ever was, and that says a lot because Jim was a great athlete with a gigantic arm. Am I right to say that? The only thing that holds him back is Josh Allen. I mean, four straight AFC East titles. He's got almost a 700 win percentage, Steve. He's just got the turnovers. It's more about being smart, isn't it? And knowing the position for him to cross that threshold of being the great Josh Allen like Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's pretty close to it. I mean, certainly Josh puts the ball at risk. And I think most people, most Bills fans, even the coaching staff to a certain extent, although they'd never admit it, hey, man, they'll say, his critics will say Josh turns it over too much. And people who know him and play with him and love him, cover him, they say, no, he doesn't. They don't care. The guy gets it done. He scores more touchdowns than anybody else. Hands down. Most people can't keep up with him. And certainly, yeah, physically, he's more gifted than Jim as an athlete. He can run like Jim couldn't run. But Jim had a strong, accurate arm. And it was a different game. Jim, that game in the 90s wasn't quarterback accepting the way the league is now. You don't get guys like Mahomes and Josh and Lamar, in the league in the 90s. It was Steve Young. It was the most probably notable quarterback that could run at all, right? Everybody else was Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, and they stood back there and took the shots and made the throws. Now with Josh, Lamar, and Pat, things are different a little bit. So it was a different game. So yeah, both guys thrive because they're gifted to play the game in the era in which they're playing it. So it's hard to compare the 90s to the 2020s, but certainly both those guys are a load, and nobody wants to face either one of them. I think Josh may be, he's one of those guys that's kind of the finger quotes ultimate weapon, like Lamar and like Pat Mahomes. There is no defense that is going to stand up to those guys because guys like those can turn the perfect defensive call. You got them. The defensive coordinators got you, and it turns into a touchdown. You call the perfect defense. Josh, I remember it well in 2020, early in the year. This was the year that Josh Allen turned the corner. It was COVID. And they're playing the Rams early in the season. Josh drops back, and Aaron Donald pops through like he does, or it did during his career. Josh stiff arm, grabs his face mask, stiff arms him, pushes Aaron Donald off him, and throws the ball for a completion. Now it's a penalty because Josh stiff-armed Aaron Donald and put him to the ground with his face mask. So he got an offensive penalty, but it gave him the down again. They end up getting the first down after that, going in, and Josh throws the winning touchdown because he stiff-armed Aaron Donald to the ground when he had him. You turn the perfect defensive play into a touchdown for your team. It's a short list of quarterbacks who can do that. Josh is at the top of it. So, yeah, he turns it over, but the people who love him and play with him don't care. Let's go. He's going to score 2 touchdowns to your every one. So that's something you live with Josh. And then in those games where, and they happen as often as they don't, where he doesn't turn it over, or he doesn't turn it over, turns it over once or 0 times, you ain't beating him. You
No.
cannot beat him.
And a couple last questions. I know you're swamped for time, Stephen. I appreciate you doing this. Is Sean McDermott the right coach for Josh Allen?
Yeah, I think he is. And I think here's the thing. I think because McDermott has evolved as a head coach, and he's still evolving. He's self-admittedly said, "Listen, I'm not the same. I'm not going to be the same guy next year as I was this year." He does what a lot of coaches. When you get to that point as a head coach, part of the job description is you got to have a little bit of an ego. You got to know you're at the top of the mountain here. That doesn't serve a lot of coaches well. And McDermott has always been a guy who said, "Listen, I got some things I got to do better," and he has publicly admitted, like, I got to do better here and here and here. So he's got this what he calls growth mindset. And Sean McDermott has worked very hard at getting rid of his warts. I saw evidence of that this last year to a great degree at the end of games where Sean McDermott was coaching like he trusted his players. Early in his tenure, like in the 13-second game in Kansas City where the Bills take the lead with 13 seconds left, and then defensively they played so passive, the Chiefs got a couple of completions that kicked a field goal to tie it and ended up winning it in overtime. That passive defense wasn't present this last year when they got in games late and Josh Allen walked off the field. Now, they didn't always hold the lead, but in 4 out of their 6 losses early in the year, they were 6-6 at one point in the season. In 4 out of those 6 losses, Josh Allen walked off the field after having actively given the team the lead. He walked off the field inside the 2-minute warning after giving his team the lead. Now, they lost that lead in a couple of those games, like in the Philly game, where in the rainstorm where the guy hit the heroic kick at the end to get it into overtime. Things like that happened to him. But Sean McDermott has changed as a head coach and evolved. They said the same thing about Andy Reid in Philly. He couldn't win it. I think Sean McDermott is on that same trajectory. It looked like for a minute he was going to be another Marty Schottenheimer kind of guy, where he couldn't get over that hump. I don't think that's where Sean McDermott's epitaph is going to be written. I think I have to agree with him that it's going to be when, not if, he's a Super Bowl champion.
Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. I wonder what, and I love Buffalo. It's one of the best environments, Bills Mafia. It's a great fan base, like the Philly fan. I mean, it's passionate. I wonder how you guys are feeling today. I knew OJ. And what's hard for me, and I'm sure you too, Steve, there's 2 OJs. The player and the person that I knew, that I played golf with numerous times, went to dinner in Orlando, the NFL alumni events, saw him at broadcasting events, you saw him at games. I had a completely different relationship than what America looks at him as. And I don't know, man, how is Buffalo dealing with that? And how are you guys? Because do you celebrate his greatness of what he did in Buffalo, but he's another guy post? I'm confused. Are you guys a little bit on how you're looking at it?
That's exactly the way everybody feels about it. It's tragic, the way his life ended and the way his last years were spent. But it was self-inflicted tragedy. It was something that it's sad, and certainly anybody's death is sad, because he did have a family who loved him very much, even in the midst of what happened in the wake of his past.
I love his kids.
But it's also he'll always be associated with with a murder. And so, but I'll say this, even in the days of his passing now, and in the recent past that he's passed away after having battled cancer, it hits differently than maybe all of us thought it would. And I know that in the callous nature of social media that there's 1,000 jokes about OJ going over, but it was a tragic end to a life that for a brief moment was glorious. And it's hard to reconcile the two things for all of us. certainly I met and spoke with OJ, long before the tragedy of the murders of his ex-wife. But to reconcile all the things that are, maybe it says something about all of us. We've all got things that happen to us, and we all have to reconcile it in our own. And some of us will never do that. We'll never do that. And OJ's one of those things that there's parts of OJ's life none of us will ever get over, and there's parts of his life that none of us can ever forget. On both sides of the affection and the disgust. It is truly both extremes of being a human being. We loved the guy and thought he was great, and then at times it's the other side of that coin, and it's hard to reconcile all that for all of us. Death's never easy, and to finally have the life of OJ Simpson come to an end is something we all have to wrap our minds around. I don't think it's easy for any of us.
You seem conflicted.
Well, I know this. There's no excuse for what happened. Most of us believe that he was part of a crime that was heinous.
But right there, Steve, you got to quantify why your relationship with him and my relationship with him. I knew him like not like you guys, but I knew him, and I'm like,
well, you knew him better than me.
I know.
You knew him better than me, Dan, but I'll say this. As a former player, we can all, it's easy for us all to put ourselves as former players. You can put yourself in OJ's predicament and know that there was only probably 2 or 3 decisions in his life that made him different than any of us.
Yeah.
And that's pretty jarring to think about. I'm a former football player myself, and most of the good things that have happened to me has been because I was an athlete at one point. That's how OJ rose to celebrity and prominence in our culture. And he threw it all away spectacularly. And it didn't take that long for that to happen. I mean, our lives and whatever we build are fragile, and you have to be vigilant. You have to be vigilant about being the person that your kids think you are all the time. You forget that for a minute, and you live the remaining years of your life like OJ did, and that's tragic, man.
Let me finish it. Do you think the Bills would do anything to, I don't know if the word honor or recognize? You think they'll recognize it?
I doubt it. Not at all. I don't think so.
They didn't even recognize him being part of the 50th anniversary of the AFL. So, I mean, I wouldn't think that they're going to. You think they'll just gloss over it? And see, to me, Steve, I look at OJ and I go, you can't tell the story of the NFL without OJ Simpson's name.
Yeah, that you can make that argument. I think certainly the other guys you mentioned, Jim, Thurman, Bruce, Andre, Marv, Bill Polian, are guys that they help distract from the guys who were before them, like OJ, like Paul McGuire and Jack Kemp, and the guys
Joe Ferguson I played with.
Ferguson. So that kind of thing. And the fact that the team has now moved on, they're going to move out of the stadium. They're going to move into a new stadium. We have new ownership who have done a tremendous job. I think they'll probably OJ will probably be persona non grata from here on out. And if he is brought up, it'll probably be as a football player and nothing else.
Well, Steve, interesting times with Bills Mafia in that area there, and I'm sure it's a conflicting day for the fan base, for the organization, for everyone. It's conflicting for the NFL and the Pro Football Hall of Fame even on what to say about it too. Because like you said, Steve, you and me are football players. That's what we were. But our lives live beyond that's a portion of our life. You know what I'm saying? So we really appreciate it. And thank you so much for coming aboard. I really thank you so much.
My pleasure.
You bet. Thank you, Steve. Thanks for doing it, my friend. Yeah, he's right. He's dead on. I mean, what makes it even more difficult is that, when you run into a guy like that and a guy like that and you see a different person. And Steve's right. I knew him better than he did. I knew him better than many of the Bills. He used to live down in Orlando, and I would see him at Disney World. I would see him at events. Hey, Dan, let's go hit some golf. I'd hit golf balls with him. I mean, that's why it was my wife always, like, when the case was going on, my wife was like, he did it. I go, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. It took me a long time. I never saw an angry side of OJ. Always took time signing people's autographs. Gave money to people all the time that were sitting in the street, would get out of his car, go give somebody a $20. It was crazy to watch that trial and see a completely different person. I just wonder how the NFL is going to recognize. And probably, like Steve said, they're probably not going to recognize. Big Sills, Duffy Cobb, Shane Conlon, DJ Dozier. Sorry, had to do it. Thanks, Sean. Did OJ ever tell you he did it on the golf course? Thank you, Xander. Tasker was awesome. It's funny. Senor just asked, I think he's probably asking it kind of in kidding, or maybe, did OJ ever tell you he did it on a golf course? You're assuming I played golf with him after he was found not guilty. Are you assuming that, Senor? You're assuming I didn't meet him again. Hey, Senor, you're assuming that I didn't see OJ after the trial. I did. And it wasn't anything he told me. It's just, you felt it. He did it. He goes, you think I did it? First thing out of his mouth. It's not why I'm here. It's not why I'm here. I'll never forget, I met him at the Palm Restaurant at the Hard Rock in Orlando. This was a couple of years after the case. And he was there, and I was sitting there with Kim. Kim got up and left. She wanted nothing to do with it. She wanted nothing to do with it. My wife hey, Xander, my wife got up. She said, no, I'm not sitting here. She goes, that's your friend. And I went, so Kim, hey man, how you doing? What up? Where's your wife? Brand new wife. She had to go, man. He goes, oh, you don't want to sit here. I go, no, can't lie to you. She just got up. My wife got up and goes, I'm not sitting with that guy. And I'm like, oh man, I've had an interesting life, to say the least. My wife just, yeah, James, you saw the evil in his eye, which I never saw before that. You looked at him differently. I did. And I mean, I've talked to Johnny. Dude, F. Lee Bailey was a friend of mine. I knew him from Miami. And he goes, you think I did it? And I go, yeah. He goes, how long did it take you? I go, to the very end, because I couldn't believe it. He goes, how do you feel about it? I go, well, this is a crazy conversation. I got a picture of me and Juice. I got to find it. And he's like, how do you feel? I go, Juice is probably last time we'll probably meet. Yeah, I can't have it. I'm going to have a kid soon. Can't have it. I can't explain to my daughter why I'm friends with OJ Simpson. How can I explain that? My daughter texts me. She goes, your buddy died. I'm like, he's not my buddy. He's not my buddy. Sills, not much different than the life of Aaron Hernandez. And that's not true, man. Aaron Hernandez, well, yeah, Aaron was a great football player, but OJ was a polarizing dude in America, man. He was the first pitch man in American history, really, along with Arnold Palmer. You got to remember something. Him going to Southern Cal and winning the Heisman Trophy, when you're a USC superstar like that, back in those times, you were a celebrity in Los Angeles. Most of the Hollywood executives were all either Trojans or Bruins. He was a god in Los Angeles, especially with the corporate business people like Hurts, NBC. NBC loved him. Hey, he was on the Monday night broadcast booth for a bit. OJ was a polarizing guy. I've always been conflicted talking about this because I went on a bunch of shows, and that's why Ron Goldman did my show, or not Ron Goldman, Fred Goldman did my show when I was on 1090. He goes, I hear you're friends with OJ. I go, that's not, I go, I knew OJ. He goes, you friends now? I go, no, I can't say I am. He goes, but you were. I go, so was the entire league. So were the advertisers. So was America. He is one of the most difficult guys for football players to talk about. Okay? Yeah. So we're sitting at that dinner at the Palm. That's the last time I saw him. It was a lunch. And Mike Martin, who's now the president of the Palm, he goes, OJ's here. I go, you served him? He goes, yeah, he's staying at the Hard Rock. He wants to come over to your table. I go, that's where my wife goes. Didn't even finish her lobster. Got up and went, I'm out of here. Came over, sat down, picked up my dinner or lunch, and I'm like, you usually think I did it? I go, yep, I do. Did it change your opinion on me? I go, yeah, I'm having a kid, man. I can't explain this. No, I don't do surf and turf, Barb. Big Sills does a 4-pound lobster. They're great clams casino, and they're tremendous lobster bisque. If you ever go to the Palm, it's my favorite restaurant on the planet. I'm actually a 360 member. Okay? Actually a 360 member. So I'm conflicted with the juice today. Horrible man, phenomenal football player. That's how I look at him. Not much to say. Okay? Dan, have you ever spoken to Aaron Hernandez? Here's the funny thing about that, James. Aaron Hernandez is arguably, with his brother, two of the most celebrated and decorated Connecticut high school football players of all time. I knew and know his brother. You know why? His brother coached down at the University of Miami the same time that Jeff Stoutland did. And he knows Aaron Hernandez's brother. He was a tight end coach at the University of Miami. His name is, I think it's DJ. I think it's DJ Hernandez, I think. And DJ was a quarterback, I think, in Hamden, along with Aaron. 2-time All-Staters, both of them. And I've talked to DJ. I didn't know Aaron, but I knew Aaron had made all-state football teams, and I think he made it with Mike Golick's son. And I think it's DJ. And DJ coached the tight ends at the University of Miami a little bit. And he was like, hey, because a story came out, a documentary came out. I got him on. And he goes, I'm only doing this because of you. You know that because of our Connecticut background. And you knew who I was. My father was a complete ass bag. We grew up in a terrible situation. Both kids were a victim of abuse by the father and by the mother. It was just terrible how those two kids were raised. Dan, did you watch the 73 game in the snow? I sure did. When OJ ran for $2,000. Hey, Greasy, if you remember that game, it was at Shea Stadium. And it was Bills Jets. And do you remember what happened? OJ needed like 197 yards. And this is one of the very first things I ever saw. Greasy. He didn't play like the fourth quarter. Am I right? Because he got like 197 yards or 203 yards. I think OJ had 203 yards. He needed 180 something or 170. And OJ had like 190 yards in like three quarters. And then I think he ended up with 203. And he had 2003 rushing yards. And I watched it as a little kid when OJ broke that record. In 14 games, he went for 2003 yards in the snow. And he didn't play the fourth quarter. If Juice would have played the fourth quarter, OJ would have put that record probably 2,200 in 14 games. That's how great that guy was, man. I mean, I watched that game that day, man. It was live. Absolutely. Juice ain't playing with those fools. Dude, OJ Simpson was an absolute phenomenal. I told you, man, if I had to pick my 5 best running backs in pro football history, it'd be Jim Brown, OJ, Peyton, Emmett, and Sanders. Those would be my top 5 running backs in pro football history. Juice was an amazing athlete, just overshadowed by controversy. People won't remember him for the great player, but for his life outside and off the field. Denny, and probably rightfully so. You can't act like an animal like that. You can't be that extreme. You can't hurt others. And you know why I knew OJ did it? I'll tell you what I told him. Hey, man, you want me to tell you what I said to him? Xander, I said, just because a chick is sitting there with a dude, oh, man, should I say it? It's really, really, I don't know. Okay? Anthony, you knew, hey, Joe, dude, you can't go off. I'll say it nicer. You can't go off on a chick. You can't do those things to people because somebody's drinking out of your sippy cup and has your loafers on. What were you thinking? Conversation went completely dead, and that was the end of that. And I never saw him again. I said, dude, what the hell are you thinking? Well, you're OJ Simpson. You had a billion. Here's a scene. It was at the Palm in Orlando at the Hard Rock. It's still there. My face is on the wall. I got one of those paintings. The Palm has all those pictures of. I got one in Miami, Vegas, Orlando, Tampa, and I think at Palm 2 in New York. I got my face because I've been to all those places. Yeah. Whew. Did he give you the? Yeah. My wife goes, I think we got into the car. She wouldn't talk to me until we got home. She goes, I think you need to take a shower. I'm like, believe me. Because I can't believe you sat there and talked to him as long as you did. I go, I had to tell him my piece. I don't want to go over to jury. I don't care. Yeah, I heard. I know about the first wife. I didn't know that too. His kids are great kids. Okay, it must have been Jekyll. Anthony, that's what Kim says, my wife, that he's Jekyll and Hyde. I never saw the other part. I never did, really. But then when you saw him after that thing, you were like this. It's conflicting in a way because can you talk? Hey, can you celebrate OJ? Can you celebrate him? Can you celebrate him? Dude, very few people in pro football history. Philly, why can't you celebrate OJ, the football player? Hey, here's an OJ story about women. I saw him do a Buffalo Bills New York Jets game when they had just moved into the new stadium in the Meadowlands. There were 4 chicks that got out of the limousine before he called the game. This guy could have had any woman he wanted. I never got that whole thing with Nicole. This guy was always around women. I never got it. Why would you do that? I'm not cashing my life in for anybody. I've never hit a woman in my life. You could hit me with a shovel. I'm not hitting a chick. That ain't happening. I got a daughter. I don't even hit my kid. I never disciplined my kid. I don't think you have to go that route. Okay? I hate this about OJ. Me too, man. I mean, but you gotta talk about it. You don't celebrate pedos and dudes who kill women. But LJ, okay, so let's see here. I don't believe anybody's wrong here. I think you could look at OJ's career, and I think you can talk about him being one of the greatest players of all time. But there is always a precursor to it. He's one of the most despicable men of all time. Absolutely. Just like Philly, it's not quite because of the tragic loss of life, but Pete Rose, phenomenal player, despicable dude. And we've had Pete on the show. See, I think some of you probably now are getting it. I like people that are polarizing like Pete Rose. And I'm not saying I like OJ, but I knew OJ. I know polarizing people. I knew Trump. I am attracted to people that are polarizing. I don't really like common. Okay? Yeah, you have to separate the sports from the other part. Some people can separate sports and personal life, and some people can't. Absolutely. Totally true. So it's polarizing. Who would have I would have thunk it. I just like polarizing, good and bad. Good and bad. Ty, you don't have to have respect for him, but I respect his football game. I respect his football game. Here. So we know where it lands. I don't respect OJ Simpson as a man and as a human. But as a football player, he's one of the top 5 running backs to ever put a pair of cleats on. He revolutionized the position. You could make the argument he's the greatest college football running back and also pro running back that's ever walked the face of the earth. That's where the praise ends. He was always great to me. He was always great to me. Celebrate him would be tough. I agree. And you heard what Steve said. I doubt that the Bills are going to. I believe his off-the-field issue overshadows his on-the-field success. You can acknowledge his success without losing focus on his personal failures. Bob, do you look at Mike Tyson like that? Yeah, and Sam's right. Sam, you're right. Sam goes, Sills, you still have to have boundaries on how you see people. You're dead on, dude. You're dead. Sam, it's a great take. You're dead on. You have to have boundaries. Okay? You do. I guess it's tough because, like, how about this? My relationship with Michael Irvin is a complex one. Michael Irvin's a polarizing guy. My relationship with Warren Sapp is the craziest. One day we love each other. One day we can't stand each other. One day we want to meet on a beach and fight. It's crazy. I don't know what that is about. Okay? I don't know what that is. OJ kind of falls into Chris Benoit territory, celebrated career, but terrible in life choices. Yeah, that was absolutely terrible story. Okay. OJ was the first running back to reach 2,000 yards. And remember, Anthony, in 14 games, he did that. You know, a lot of you guys are young. All you saw was the trial. America's polarizing, but God bless America. Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, what many people believe, the reason that he was not found guilty was because of all the police brutality that Gates had been placing on all the kids in Compton and the families in Compton and South Central LA. And it was just led up to that, why the whole thing went chaotic after the trial. Many years of police brutality in Los Angeles led to that whole decision and how that thing went sideways. You know, it's a real complex issue. OJ was at the center of it. And what Philly D is talking about, the police would go in there and they would harass all these communities, especially the black communities. And it came to a head with that OJ case. And when they were found innocent, they had it. That's it. That was it. You know what's crazy? USC's in the heart of Watts. I took a recruiting trip there. It's in the heart of Watts. It's in South Central. I mean, came to a head. Cops brutalizing African-American communities for all those decades from the 60s on. Hey, Flexen, when you go to USC and you go there, they got a big old-ass wall up and they got a tarp up. So you can't see the poverty on the other side because USC is a private institution. And they don't want you to see outside of the pearly gates of Southern Cal. Like UCLA's got the best campus on the planet because it's in Westwood. Yeah, no, we're gonna get there. We're gonna take a time out here because I got Mark Farzetta coming up at 4:30. Yeah, you only saw the trial. You didn't see how juice was. Well, South Central MG2. My bad. All right, let's take a time out. It's one of the most interesting times and stories. OJ, the case, Rodney King, all that. It really is. I like history and all that, why it happened, why this didn't happen. So I kind of look into that. We're going to and roll back in. I got 3 more topics I haven't even hit on yet. Okay? Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans, were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at JAKIB. At JAKIB we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give JAKIB a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything. Everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. I was asked earlier this morning to help send a donation to the Darren Dalton Foundation. And there's going to be an event on April 18th. I think John Kruk is going to be there too. And they said, did I have any memorabilia that I would donate for Darren Dalton, who was one of my compadres. God, was he a great guy. Born on the same day, January 3rd. He and I, man, I dated his wife before he married her, Lynn Austin. She used to always say, two hammerheads, born on the same day. Not a shocker. What a great dude. Love Dutch, man. Dee Dee's awesome, man. So I'm going to donate one of the things that I cherish the most. I'll do the Dick Allen baseball that he signed for me. Wopalm. Dick Allen gave me this. 64 Rookie of the Year. I think it's even got the thing on it. Does it? Oh, yeah. Got the little deal on the side there. So Dick Allen's one of my favorite baseball players of all time. I love Dick Allen. Man. Richie Allen, man. Swung that big 39-ounce bat. Told the Philly fans to go fuck themselves, riding it on first base. That guy was a dude, man. Hey, man, Dick Allen is one of the great and most underappreciated celebrities that Philadelphia's ever had, and he was a great baseball player, man. Should be in the Hall of Fame, you bet, man. If you put a guy like Kirby Puckett in, or you put Harold Baines in, and you don't have Dick Allen in, come on now. Harold Baines ever win an MVP? Dick Allen did. Did Harold Baines win a Rookie of the Year? Dick Allen did. Come on, man. Did he ever win a home run title? Dick Allen did. Come on, man. That guy's one of the greatest players of all time, but he had a really awful relationship with the Philadelphia media, and the Philadelphia media back then talked shit to him. Okay? Okay? Hey, come on, man. All right. So we'll do that here, and I'm gonna donate that to him because I love Darren Dalton. He's a good man. All right. Here's the set. By the way, Mark Farzetta is going to join us in a couple minutes. Who will have a longer career with the Philadelphia Eagles? Jordan Davis? Nolan Smith? Or neither? Jordan Davis? Neither. Both one contract players as of now, says Xander. Dean Smith. Smith, unfortunately, I'm not sure either will get a second contract. Okay. Neither will have long careers with the Eagles. Yes or no? I could see Howie doubling down on both, to be honest. If Davis doesn't do this year, it's a wrap. I don't see it, Nolan Smith. I think this is a colossal bust. He's not big enough. He's not strong enough. He's fast as hell. He's a good football player. But at least Jordan Davis. See, here's where my faith is with Jordan Davis. You can't make a football play like you did on Josh Allen. Running a guy down like you're a water buffalo, and you're taking that guy. Did you hear Steve Tasker say that Josh Allen, what did he do? He slung him to the ground with a stiff arm. You're not doing that to Jordan Davis at 350 pounds running like that. There's just too much there. Now, to Xander's point, Sills, is he a second-year contract guy? Not at the money he's thinking he's going to get, because he's not a $20 million guy. He's just not a $20 million dude. But if you give me Vince Wilfork, I'll pay that guy $7 million. But he's got to get better against the run. This is where I hope I think Nolan Smith's a bust. I do. I just think Nolan Smith, I just don't see it. I don't see anything redeeming about him. I love his attitude. I love how he talks. I love the whole thing about him. But I think Davis is a better I think he's got more chance of saving his career than Nolan Smith does. Okay? I do. Seals, if Davis works out moving to the nose, he might get a second contract. Because you're right, they're going to the 34. Correct. Smith won't last at edge. He's too light in the cakes. Move Smith to inside linebacker. He might. He's too small for that, too. Dude, you got one of the smallest linebacker cores in the league. Nolan Smith sounds like he's more bark than bite. I agree, King. I don't see it. You know, I just don't see it in him. I think that's a bad pick down there. And that Nolan Smith pick is going to go down once again as one of Howie's awful picks. As great as the Jalen Carter, get this, as great as the Jalen Carter pick was in that draft, that's horrible. It's a horrible pick. Jordan Davis is not a horrible pick. It's just too high. Like I told you, when they were at 22, if he was at 22, I'm okay with that pick. 13, you're expecting him to be Fletcher Cox. He ain't. He ain't. Vince Wilfork was in a class of his own. Yeah, but if you look at his sack total, Roland, the New England Patriots knew how to use him. They didn't play him on third down. They didn't rush him. They played him at nose. And then when they got into a nickel package, they took him out. They didn't put him in positions that he was not going to be effective. And Vince was playing 17 games. Look, to me, you play him at nose, you pull him out on third down. You take him out on third down. You'll preserve him, and you'll play him. I think the last two defensive coordinators, because of the pressure from the front office, I think they played him out of position. Take it from a guy who knows what you're looking at when a guy's being played out of position. Barb goes, he was good against the run early on. Two contributing factors were the demise of Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis last year. You know what that was? The change in coordinator and playing those two players with too many reps. They needed to have Jalen Carter more on a pitch count, but they saw how dominant he was early. So what did they do? They emptied his tank too soon. They needed to have him play like the kid with the Rams. The kid from the Rams, they had him on an early pitch count, and they upped his tank more. So, like, again, personally, and I'm going to ask, so I'm going to set the question up before I get Farzy on here, but Jordan Davis, you got to remember here, Jordan Davis now moving to a 34, okay? He moves to the 34. Don't play him on third down. Give him an opportunity to be able to play multiple plays and have him towards the back end of the season. So, I think there's a lot that's going to play into whether or not he's going to, okay, I mean, you have to. Okay, let's go over to our friend Mark Farzetta here and get our friend on here and see what's going on, and we'll get his opinion here. How you doing, Farzy?
I got to be honest there, Sills. You've been living rent-free in my head since our conversation last week, because I've been doing exactly what you were just talking about. The whole 3-4 transition, it's like we have it in our head that the Eagles have already been running Vic Fangio's system, where, in fact, they've been running their version of Vic Fangio's system, but they've still been utilizing more than anything the base 4-3. So now with Fletcher Cox retiring, our conversation last week, going back to Fletcher Cox moving to the middle, or excuse me, to the outside there in that 3-4 with Chip Kelly and Billy Davis, I just have grown. I've only gotten more concerned about the Eagles defense really since the end of the season. And I know it shouldn't be the case. They've added some good pieces, but this is a pretty big transition, and they're missing one of their big guns in Fletcher Cox now. So that's obviously a concern.
Here's where I think, here, let me set this question up again, and then I'll go into Jordan Davis here. Between Nolan Smith and Jordan Davis, who gets a second contract, or do neither?
I think Jalen Carter's the guy. If you had to choose between
Jordan Davis or Nolan Smith, I mean.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, okay, no, maybe I misheard you. I think Jordan Davis. Nolan. It doesn't make any sense to me, the infatuation the Eagles seem to have right now with Nolan Smith. Now, I understand you're talking about a first-round draft pick, but this is a guy that played his first game as a pro in the preseason and then talked about how his shoulder was bothering him. On the other side of things, you have Nakobe Dean the previous season that was supposedly having a bad shoulder, and that has not been an issue really in his time as a pro. Not that really affected the Eagles. It's been a toe injury. It's been an ankle injury. It's been stuff like that. But Nakobe Dean dropped so far in the draft because of an alleged shoulder issue. Nolan Smith didn't drop. He's still first-round pick, and he has an admitted shoulder issue. And I know he got it scoped and fine, but this was something that was bothering him in college. It was bothering him after his first game as a pro. It probably was bothering him throughout his first entire season as a pro. And then after the season, he has it supposedly taken care of. So I don't look at Nolan Smith and go, oh, this is a guy that's really going to fill a big roster spot. Nolan Smith's the guy going into training camp. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Nolan Smith's here. Like that. He's not in my plans for the Eagles' immediate future.
I would say this about Jordan Davis, and if they play it this way, if you played him on first and second down, you yanked his ass off the field on third down. When you went to nickel package, you're not only going to preserve him, but you're going to play him from a place of strength. He was so good against the run. And the reason that I say Jordan Davis is going to have a better career than Nolan Smith, I don't think you can just escape what he did in that play against Josh Allen when he ran him down like a water buffalo. And he's running at 350 pounds. No, I just had Steve Tasker on. Steve Tasker goes that, Josh Allen stiff-armed Aaron Donald to the ground. Nobody does that to that guy. And this guy brought that guy down like he was hunting, like he was hunting antelope. I mean, it was I can't excuse, but to me, that means this then. Okay. Well, let me play him from a place of strength. Pull him out. Get another defensive pass rusher in there in the defensive tackle. You got Milton Williams in there. Go to a forefront. You just hired a guy for $18 million in that Bryce Huff. Go Huff, Sweat, Carter, and Williams. There's your front four passing right there on third down, where 70% of the time anyway, you're going to be a nickel and you're going to preserve the kid. So to me, I say this to you, and it's a long way around this, but I think they've played him out of position the last 2 years.
Could be. Again, I got to see him 100% when it comes to either of these two characters, where it comes to a guy like Jordan Davis or it comes to a guy like Nolan Smith. I have to see Jordan Davis play a full season at a very high level. That's something I haven't seen yet. When it comes to Nolan Smith, I need to see him go out there and make sure that his shoulder is at 100% before I start dreaming up. Like, it almost sounds like a NASCAR package in some instances that you would use back in the day when they termed it the NASCAR package. That's something that obviously I think would get a lot of interest from Philadelphia Eagles fans. They would absolutely love that, to see that kind of aggression. But I think in one case it's going to be about health. The other case it's going to be about conditioning. And one of the reasons, to get back to your previous question about Jordan Davis, one of the reasons I'm confident in him is I think that unfortunately, he's the kind of guy that has to play himself into shape. And I don't mean to say that, because usually when you say that, he's lazy. I don't think that's the case. I think the Eagles having this, this OTA as early as they have, at earliest they've had it, really, I think, in the Sirianni era.
By the way, it's an added one.
Exactly. And not having it last year, not having it the previous year, was an awful thing, just to get the guys' feet wet. Because when you're getting their feet wet now, that means you can just jump right into the pool when real OTAs start up, when after the draft, rookie camp's over, and guys are coming and learning their new coordinators and just getting their feet wet now and then jumping into the pool later on in the process. And I think that's only going to help Jordan Davis, especially when you're talking about the conditioning aspect of this, because I think the guy has all the talent in the world. It's a matter of having that conditioning and that stamina so that when week 15, 16, 17, and 18 are rolling around, you're still full bore.
I'm going to ask you a question here, and here. In the 3 years that Jalen Hurts has played quarterback for the Eagles, would you agree with me that one has been exceptional?
Extremely exceptional, yeah. One.
Would you agree?
Yes, I would absolutely.
I think we're frozen here a little bit.
You got to be kidding me.
Hopefully we get him back.
Oh.
Hopefully we get Mark Farzetta back here.
Oh, Jesus.
I think he's frozen here a little bit. As far as he's good on my end. Well, he's frozen here. Let's see if we can get him hooked up here again. And again, where I'm going to go here with him is the expectations. Okay. and the expectations. Hey, let's bring in Mark here and see if he's good. No, Mark, I think that's me on my end.
Was that you? All right, fine. I'll take no responsibility whatsoever. Or am I shaking?
Mark, you there?
I'm here. Damn it.
Okay. Okay.
Jeez.
So let me throw this at you here.
Okay.
Would you agree that Jalen Hurts has had one really spectacular year?
Absolutely. He's had one good, spectacular year. Everything else has been good, but MVP caliber, where he's only losing the MVP award to Patrick Mahomes, he's had 1 year like that. And even, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but going into that San Francisco game, you have him, Jalen Hurts, as the favorite to win the MVP. Going into the 49ers game of this past season, I didn't see that from Jalen Hurts. I know he had just, scampered in for an 11-yard touchdown run in overtime against the Bills to help win that game for the Eagles, but I had not seen that MVP version of Jalen Hurts all year long. So I know that was in the conversation. I know he was the odds-on favorite. I didn't see that. The guy I saw 2 years ago is the guy that I hope you see the vast majority of throughout the vast majority of Jalen Hurts' career. So there is still a lot to work on. Now, you go back to Brian Johnson, and now you bring a new offensive coordinator. Still see how that goes.
How about this, Mark? If everything is equal, now that we found out that the first game of the year is against the Packers, if you were to start your football team between Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts, who would you pick?
I'm picking Jalen Hurts, without a doubt. I really like Jordan Love.
Because he's had one good year.
He's had one good year as well. But the difference that I have here with Jalen Hurts is that I know Jalen Hurts has it between the years. I'm not to say that Jordan Love doesn't. I don't know if he's as battle-tested as Jalen Hurts has been since being here in Philadelphia. Coming into the whole Carson Wentz fiasco, I mean, at least you knew you were playing behind a Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers out there in Green Bay. You weren't doing that necessarily here in Philly. I would ride with Jalen Hurts. And I know that's a conversation, and Jordan Love had an incredible year to thrust himself into a comparison like this, and I get it. But if I'm riding with one from starting my football team today for the foreseeable future, I'm going with Jalen Hurts over Jordan Love.
I would never, and here's why. I don't think he'll ever be the passer that Jordan Love is. In one season, just like Jalen had with one season, he dwarfs anything he ever did. I mean, this guy has two 1,000-yard receivers. He can't throw for over 3,900 yards or 25 touchdowns. And I'm expecting him to be a guy who's going to win from the pocket. And I'll throw this at you too, Mark. You name me a guy who's had 15 rushing touchdowns that has won a Super Bowl in the last 30 years. And one respective season. There isn't one. So those stats are kind of like Kirk Cousins stats to me. You win Super Bowls from the pocket, and you pick your moments rushing. To me, now look, I'll compromise with you on this. If you go back to 22 and you want to develop Jalen Hurts 22, I think you got a good shot in the next 5 years of getting back to 2. But if you want to expand on the 23 Hurts, he was common last year. And I don't expect that thing to be some sort of leap and bounds because of Kellen Moore. You know, it's funny about the Kellen Moore hire. Everyone hates Dak Prescott. But Dak Prescott's OC for 5 years was Kellen Moore. I mean, how is that magically all of a sudden going to translate into Jalen Hurts being a better quarterback than what he is when you look at Dak's success, 2 postseason wins? I'm not getting this. They're getting further away from 22.
Well, here's where I would argue in favor of Jalen Hurts and getting a little bit closer to where you were in 22. You had Shane Steichen, and I don't buy too much into you need 2 years in a system to really know it. If you're good, you're good. One of the things Fletcher Cox said was, good players just find a way, or great players find a way. He talked about a conversation he had with DeMeco Ryans one year when they were switching over to a different scheme. DeMeco Ryans said, hey, great players just find a way. You're going to move into this 3-4 scheme instead of the 4-3. Then, well, guess what? If you're a great player, you're going to find a way to help your team win football games. I think Jalen Hurts will find a way to help his team win football games. But I think that the coaching last year was atrocious. And I think that the coaching for the Green Bay Packers was incredible. Think about this. I remember go back. For anyone that didn't see it, if you haven't watched it, just as a football fan, you got to go back and you got to watch the Packers and Cowboys in Dallas for the playoffs this year. He put the Cowboys in a blender. is what he did. He lulled him to sleep with the run, meticulous drive down the field, perfectly executed by the players, not taking anything away by them. But it was it was like after a game when you hear coaches talk about, well, you got to do a better job putting players in a great position to have success. They put their players in a great position to have success, and the players executed. It was exactly what every coach talks about after every single game, whether or not he executed, whether they had a good game plan. The Packers did everything, crossed every T, dotted every I, dotted every lowercase J in that game. That's how meticulous they were. That was coaching. The Eagles didn't have that last year. Not even close to it last year. And they show you their cards by going, all right, well, if you're Jeffrey Lurie, you're like, I like this Nick Sirianni guy because he makes me feel like I run the show. So that's great. So he can stay there and continue to do that because no coordinator is going to jump over a head coach to get to me. That's not happening. So Nick Sirianni is that barrier. They bring in Kellen Moore, obviously experienced. I think when it comes to Jalen Hurts, I think he has it between the ears more than Dak Prescott has it between the ears. So I have more hope for him of having success in the Kellen Moore scheme. And as I have told you before, if you're someone that really doubts Jalen Hurts, this is going to be potentially your favorite year ever for you to pat yourself on the back because there are no excuses for Jalen Hurts. You have an offensive coordinator now who has plenty of experience, has had a number one offense. He's worked with multiple quarterbacks in his career, and now he's coming here to Philadelphia to take over an offense, as you mentioned, 2,000-yard receivers. You're bringing in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, pure running back in the entire NFL in Saquon Barkley, top 3 at worst. And there's zero excuse. Oh, well, we got to do this. We got to do that. No. You have the players. Now do you have the scheme? Now do you have the true talent at the quarterback position? I believe the Eagles do. I'm expecting offensively, at least this team to have a very good season. But it's all out there. It's a prove-it year again for Jalen Hurts in year 2 of this contract.
I know you got to run. I got 2 questions here for you. Final 2 questions. Where's this contract extension from the Jets for Hassan Reddick? And every time I get you on, I'm going to bring this damn thing up because let me tell you something, Mark. Okay, what is it now? 13, 14, 2 weeks now that we're looking at since that deal has happened? The Jets have had no contract talks with him. They're going to pay him $15 million. They got the better player between him and Huff. They're going to let him walk. They're going to draft either the kid Bowers or an edge rusher versus the kid from Florida State. They're going to replace him, get a compensation pick of a 3rd rounder before the Eagles even get a chance to use the 26th second rounder. Now, you tell me, how in the world is that not being forced out by Vic Fangio? Because that is not a Howie Roseman way of doing business. It just seems like get out at any expense. Because do you agree? It's one thing for the Jets to go, well, here's a 2-year contract extension at $21 million. Or whatever. I would have went, oh, all right. Well, so we got more money than a 15. They're paying him an X. 6 is 6. It's $12 million over 2, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like, okay. But nothing, not even a hint of a deal. I mean, it seems still chaotic to me. Javon Hargrave played his final year out with the Eagles, got $20 million from the 49ers. Why wouldn't they let him just play it out?
To answer your question, I don't know. And you and I have talked about this a couple times already. The minute we saw the alert come up that the trade had gone through, I was waiting for that follow-up trade and announce a 3-year extension for Hassan Reddick and all that stuff. And it never came. And I'm still waiting. We're both still waiting. This doesn't make any sense. So if he's going to play on $15 million up there, why not just play on $15 million here in Philadelphia when you have the money? It's not like the Eagles are scraping by here with salary cap space. They got plenty of it. So it doesn't make any sense. The 2 things. One, I think you're dead on. I think this is a Fangio thing more than anything because the only other thing, as I said, you've been living rent-free in my head here, friend. The only other thing that makes sense is Howie was going to drastically undercut Hassan Reddick for the upcoming season. And maybe he was going to give him a 2-year deal that was similar to in philosophy to that of what they allegedly offered Chauncey Gardner-Johnson a year ago before he went and signed with the Detroit Lions, where I was like, oh, yeah, this is the deal. It's a 3-year deal, but the last year of the deal is where you make the money, but you'll never see that last year. We both know it. So what I think, I'm on the same page as you. This was more of a Fangio decision than anything. I'm just not going to use this guy like you would use him in the past. So this isn't the Fangio style scheme. This is the Fangio scheme. I don't have room for him here. I'm not going to be able to use him. The only other thing that makes sense is the idea of Howie Roseman just saying, sure, go seek a trade because this is our restructure. You don't like our restructure, then go find that trade. I find it very weird, though. Two things, once again, that he didn't re-sign anything different with the Jets to this point, and that any type of offer from the Eagles to Son Reddick that would have been undercutting the $14.5 million that he was due for this season hasn't come out. Where's that? But so the only thing that makes sense is there was no room for him at the Fangio Inn.
Finally here, Devontae Smith, there's conversation that they're working on an extension. Well, Mark, for me, if I'm his people, first and foremost, I got a couple questions on signing a contract extension. Now, the Eagles have the leverage on the 50-year option, but on the extension, Devontae has the leverage because he could just say no and force them into that May 2nd 50-year option. You're not going to let him walk in to a final year of his contract and let him get nothing in compensation at the end of the season. So he could force their hand on that option. Well, Mark, check this out. So why would I do this? Who's going to be the head coach if Nick Sirianni fails? Is he going to be the head coach here? Wait a minute. What if Jalen has a bad season? Do I want him throwing footballs to me? What are you going to do with AJ? Are you really going to keep two $20 million guys? And why would I sign a contract right now when CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson haven't set the market? And people go, well, it's Philly. And you know how he wants to get ahead of deal. Hang on here. If Jefferson signs a $30 million deal, and if CD signs a $28 million deal, and say that Devontae signs a $22 million deal, you're talking about $8 million over the next 3 years. That's $25 million you're going, hey, you know what? I want to be an Eagle. That ain't worth me wanting to be an Eagle at $25 million just to go, I'm going to burn that in a trash can. I think this is the 50-year option. If you're Devontae, you don't sign an extension here, or do you?
For whatever reason, this to what you alluded to earlier, the Eagles have a way. Howie Roseman, Joe Banner, even they have that carrot they dangle out in front of their players. I remember
it's a bag of money up front.
Exactly. And I mean, you could go back to a much lesser talent, but still the same scenario. A guy like Reggie Brown back in the day with the Eagles, where they dangled that carrot out front. It's like, oh, hey, I'll sign it. Now, Devontae Smith is obviously far better and superior in talent to a guy like Reggie Brown. However, it's a similar scenario in that he's going to get that bag of cash offered in front of him. Now, it's a question of how big you want that bag of cash to be, of course. And if you don't have anything to compare it to with other guys around the league, then I don't think you're signing that deal. Devontae Smith could be one of the first players to go, you know what? I am going to bet on myself. I am from a skill position. I am going to bet on myself for this year and just go forward. And I understand that you guys want to make sure that you have your your offensive lineman locked up. I know you got a guy like AJ Brown who's
don't
making
you want to see
money.
the environment if it's calmer?
Yeah. And if you're the only thing in football that I think really gets at these guys, and you know it far better than I do, is it just takes one play. One play, and all of a sudden you're looking at a whole. Forget about getting a bag of cash. You're lucky to get like a Ziploc bag with a couple of bucks in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, forget about the big old.
See you later.
Exactly.
You know, me and you have been on that end. Hey, you know what? Hey, here's your final check. What about compensation? You work in broadcasting, son.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, my friend. Don't forget, folks, check him out. He starts the mornings off each and every single day here on JAKIB Sports. He is so awesome. I've grown to like you even. No. Hey, listen here. I was like this. It's another loudmouth Italian. We're like, like me and all that. And then I'm like this. No. I told Xander even. I'm like, this guy's good, man.
You're very kind.
Good here. I'm really good. So you start our mornings off. Thank you so much, Mark.
My pleasure, my friend. Take it easy.
You bet. The great Mark Farzetta. Appreciate him joining us, man. He does a really good job. I enjoy watching him. And don't forget, like I said, you can catch him each and every single morning, kicking off our morning broadcast here. We got a bunch of topics still. Where's the Hassan Reddick extension? What happened? Hey, by the way, I want to make it very clear. I had no problem moving the kid. Remember what I told you? They disrespected the guy completely. You know when it started? In the locker room. Okay? The topic graveyard is miles long at this point. Hey, say this to you here. Hold on here. No. You signed a guy I hate because he's not an upgrade. And where is the extension? Means the Eagles never offered him. Which means Fangio's got a lot to say. Which means that Vic Fangio may actually have more power than the head coach. Because he's not going to have any decision making. None. None whatsoever. Vic's picking and choosing his coaches and the type of player he wants. Okay? All right. Oh, no. You guys said that I didn't know what I was talking about when Vic Fangio took the head job as DC of the Eagles. That it was his call to move him. You guys called me a liar. It's now true. Sills made it up. What does he know? Played out to be true. How you doing? By the way, this Devontae Smith thing, I'm not signing a contract extension with the Eagles. Why would I? Who's your quarterback going to be in 2 years? Who's your head coach going to be in 2 years? And who's your offensive coordinator going to be next year? Is it a given that Kellen Moore's coming back next year when you have hired so many new coordinators year in and year out? If Devontae doesn't take the bag of cash, will ownership set him up for failure? Wow, it's either take the contract or we'll trade you. I hadn't thought of that. Because as soon as Hassan Reddick opened his mouth, that was the end of his demise. I never thought of that. That's a great point. Oh, he doesn't want to take it. I don't think Devontae Smith is a guy that's going to do this. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be impressed with that upfront money like that. I don't. I don't think that. If I were him, I would force them into giving the May 2nd fifth-year option. Okay? Smitty to Denver for Surtain. Straight up. Devontae Smith. And they just signed Patrick Surtain on a fifth-year option. You signed a May 2nd fifth-year option. You send him to Denver for Patrick Surtain. Would you do it? Yeah. Because Parsons went in that draft. Wow. Patrick Surtain for Devontae Smith. Would you do it? And then draft a wide receiver at 22. It's not stupid. But I really love the player. But I told you don't fall in love with the player. So I can't be a hypocrite. Devontae Smith for Patrick Surtain. One guy's 25 years old. He's at a more coveted position, corner. He's one of the best lockdown corners in the game. Smitty's a really good wide receiver. He's not one of the top 5 guys at his profession. Surtain is. Look at Joe. No. You think wide receivers are more important than corners? You might want to check how Kansas City's winning games now with defense and Mahomes. They got 2 rookie corners If you guys would have listened to me, you would have had McDuffie instead of Jordan Davis playing corner for you. We ain't paying 2 wide receivers $25 million, so we need to move off either Smitty or AJ and draft a young one. That's why it's not Xander. That's why it's not stupid. Smitty has championship pedigree. Not with Hurts, he doesn't. Corners are getting paid big money. Yeah, because it's a coveted position. Wide receivers get paid big money and they don't win titles. If I can only have one, I think I'll take A.J. Owens over Smitty. Smitty's kind of like T. Higgins to you and Jalen Waddle, right? To Tyreek Hill. He's kind of like that, right? He's kind of like those guys, right? Yeah. He's not a Devontae Adams. Or he's not like a DK Metcalf. That's a great point, how we can't draft, but he can make deals like this. This is not horrible. Devontae Smith signed a 5th-year option, send him to Denver, and you get the corner. And you're sending a wide receiver to an offensive-minded coach in Sean Payton. It kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. And to many people's point, in court, including BJ or LJ, whatever, like BJ would say, what did you say, BJ? It's a big cap hit, so I don't know if you can move A.J. Owens. So BJ's right. He brings up the money. So it'd be too much of a cap hit. Sills, I've been banging this Smitty drum for weeks. It's a financial decision. Smitty has more equity. And he's younger. Okay? And he's younger. Smitty is Howie's trophy wideout. That's true too. That's true too. Absolutely. After all the wide receiver busts he's had in the past, Howie's not trading his poster kid. Tyson, brilliantly thought out, and you're right. Flexion, did I say BJ? I meant LJ. I meant LJ. Sorry, BJ. I meant LJ, man. I didn't mean BJ. Yeah, LJ's got a new nickname. It's BJ. Yeah, Sills respects LJ so much he calls him BJ. Yeah, that's probably true. If you get a nickname from me, AJ's too young to move. AJ is young too. He is young. He's not that old. He's not that old. Come on, BJ. You know, if you get a nickname from Big Sills, you know you actually have an identity. I'm here to give you one. BJ. Just like Dick Train. He's a good dude too. We're all good here, man. Barb, I've got to give you... See, I don't want to be too crazy here because my daughter kind of watches the show sometimes. So I got to be kind of respectful to Barb, so I can't do anything stupid to her. Because I was going to call you sweetness like Walter Payton, but I don't want to go there with that. You know, I mean, it sounds kind of sexist, and I don't want to be that. Got a kid. I wouldn't want anyone calling my old lady. Well, I don't know. No, you know, I got to be respectful here. So, yeah, sweet cheeks and princess and all that. I don't know. I don't want to go there. So, Barb, you're good. How about Barbarella? Oh, hey, how about Barbarella? Barb's the dude? Okay, Barb, you better not be a dude. How you doing? I know Walter's sweetness. Oh, yeah, Aunt Betty, too. Absolutely. I can't forget Aunt Betty. Holy cow. Oh, and also, too, my principal that I have over at NovaCare. Dan's being mean again to me. He called me a banker. I'm now a banker. No. Oh, wait. I work at H&R Block. I'm a tax representative. Hey, what do they call those guys that prepare your taxes? Oh, wait. No, and don't use the three-lettered word. I'm not allowed to use that. Tax preparers. Howie Roseman is a glorified tax preparer at H&R Block. Is that it? Because he can't draft. So you're lucky you have women tuning in. Women wouldn't tune in my radio show. Okay? They would not. I'm not calling another man sweet cheeks. I get it. I know. Yeah. I love the chain. That's right. Look at Big Sills here, man. How you doing? Gangster Sills today. Any rookie wide receivers you see that could fit our offensive scheme this year? Down there, 22. We got another topic coming up here in a second. Brian Thomas Jr., the kid from LSU, could be down there. Keon Coleman from Florida State could be down there. I don't a lot of the major wide receivers are going to be taken at the top end of the draft. So he could be down there. Okay? Sports is stupid and Jalen Hurts thinks I'm here for Big Sil. Yeah. Oh, man. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Okay. Dan has the bling today. Yeah, look at this, man. This company sent this here for Big Sills. They go like this. Would you wear it? I got a shirt coming too, they said. Look at this bad puppy. Here, let me take it off. The necklace. Bling, bling. Bling, bling. How you doing, Big Sills? And that? See that there? Pretty good. Pretty good. I'm all good with that. It hurt my neck, man. It's really heavy. I want to see if it bends. It doesn't bend, jackass. If it bends. Fugazi. All right, let me take a time out. Power hour coming up. Dude, I still got a shitload of stuff to hit on here, man. I thought Steve Tasker was awesome, too. We talked about OJ. What a complex story that is on the day he passes at the age of 76. We will reset. I have a Hey, Barb, I have a proposition for you. And I have a proposition for all of you. I have a proposition. And I'll give it to you in the power hour. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans. We're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything. Everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales Power Hour. Appreciate you coming aboard. Please hit the like button. Thank you so much. By the way, 31-20 Packers over the Eagles in Sao Paulo. Until something changes, 31-20. Nice little ass beating right out of the gate. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Those are the minutes ticking away for Pinocchio Sirianni. 31-20. And then you play the Browns next. That'll be about 28-17. Cleveland. Right out of the gate, you'd be 0-2. You animals will be howling for that guy to get canned. You'll be howling. Because that'll make it. If he goes 0-2 out of the gate, Nicky Sirianni, he was 1-6 down the stretch. That would mean that he would be 1-8 over the last 9 ball games. Woo, woo, woo. I can't think homie's going to, hey, homie don't play that with Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. Homie don't play that. Dick Train is the only thing bent on here. Get ready for 2024 flip-flop Sills when the Eagles spank those cheeseheads. 31-20. Ass pounding. Seriously. Hey, you'll think you're Harvey Weinstein locked up. Hey. You'll think you're Harvey Weinstein. Why am I? What? Yeah. Woo! Oh, man. Man, that's going to hurt a little bit. Look at Twiz. Twiz has got the popcorn. This guy's T.O. Eagles, they may give up the most points in 10 years. Absolutely. You know, there's a shot that Eagle defense could potentially give up nearly 450 points this year. 450 points. Let's see what that averages. Let's see if that's something that's capable, because the last 7, they gave up a ton of points. Is that possible? What does 450 points give you? 450 divided by 17. That's 26 points? Oh, yeah, don't give up over 450 points this year. What number will they give up? Let's go 475 divided by 17. That's 27.8. That might be a little high. So I'm going to take 400. I'm going to take the over on 450. You're going to give up 450 points this year. Top 10 defense. Holy cow, 450. That comes out to 25.7 points a game. You think you're going to hold with that defense? Do you really believe you're going to hold the team that you just saw suck down the stretch and have done no improvement? You think you're going to hold teams under 26 points for 17 games? With that defense, smallest linebacking core, and the Eagle pass linebacking core. 15-2 season. Look at this guy. Hey, what's his name says? Sills, the Eagles needed the hip tackle. No, they needed a bazooka. They need a bazooka. How do you run a 34 with no linebackers? That's my question. That's my question. How do you run a 34 when you have nothing? Okay. I got over 6 wins. I got 7. Angelo's the one that says 6. He says 5.5. I know this isn't my team, but I've watched this channel a few times, enjoyed it. We are asking for prayers. We just lost. Hey, okay, Raider, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Terrible. God bless you, my friend. Okay, all good, man. No LBs. We have the Kobe Dean. The greatness of Jimmy Dean. The greatness of Jimmy Dean. 4 linebackers, that's crazy. Well, here. Senior. 3, 4. 4 linebackers. 3, 4. 7 wins. Jimmy Dean, the Kobe Dean. James Dean, Kobe Dean. Let me think. Dean Martin, the Kobe Dean. I don't know. You know. Okay. Fred Dean, no, not Fred Dean. Fred Dean's actually a Hall of Famer and a good player. Jimmy Dean, like a smoked sausage. The Kobe smoked sausage Dean. Is he a smoked sausage or is he a breakfast sausage? Shit, I just pray he just goes in the tube and he can play a little bit. He's more of a breakfast sausage. Something he put on a egg and cheese McMuffin. Hey, that's his new nickname, McMuffin. Come here, man. Come here, Jimmy Dean. LJ goes like this, and this guy wonders why everyone in the business thinks he's a joke. That's not everybody thinks he's a joke. Everyone in this business knows I'm one of the greatest of all time. That's why your top guy says there's nobody in the country better than me. It's why I've been doing it for 36 years. Truly. I'm a former player that's been like this, BJ. See, I can go like this and go like that because I've been on both sides of the mic, unlike many people who are, you know. Joke? Really? You're not in radio anymore because there's no money in it. Nobody takes a job in radio anymore. It's not the job. There's not one guy at WIP over there making over 120 grand. 120 grand in Philly? No, thank you. Unless I can do it from my home. No, thank you. I made 500 grand in radio. 90 grand. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. Bro, Mike, hey, all kidding aside, you know that guy Mark Holmes you guys goof on? He makes $250,000 a year. You think that's a shitty job from his mom's basement, sitting in his mom's underwear? He makes more money than anybody on any radio station in your city. How about that for you? Do you ever think of that? That's a fact. That's a fact. That guy makes over 250 grand. Sitting in his mom's panties in his mom's basement. 3,500's up there. Those two guys make more money than anybody on the radio in Philadelphia. Do you know that? So before you start talking shit on those guys, or LJ, know what you're talking about, because you don't. You don't. Okay? Look at LJ going, that's crap. Yeah, I know. Well, then don't worry about it. You stay on your side of the aisle. You do all your fanning and shit talking. I'll stay on my side. You don't know the business we're in. Okay, well, whatever. Congratulations to you, LJ. BJ, baby. All right, let's move on, because I get sick of this guy. Okay, so we're going to put him with the aluminum foil in the corner over there for a little bit. So we'll put LJ over there. So he'll probably be typing up. Remember something, we appreciate him posting 38,000 posts, which will be a record. And we're going to get him probably something really special. A big old cucumber on a chain. And it's going to be, say, LJ, the greatest poster in the history of the Big Sills National Football Show. It's going to have a big old cucumber. And it's going to have a chain like that one right there. Okay? For posting nearly 40,000 times. Yes, sir, baby. So go sit in your corner. I'll call on you later. Sills, I bet on the 7 wins, you wear an A.J. Brown jersey. And if I lose, I'll send a hundo and a super. Twiz. Let me see. You think that's fair, Denny? Do it. Go ahead, do it. Okay? You hit. Hey, do it? Maybe. All right. Let's move on. How many people believe that Howie Roseman will get the 22nd pick right? How many people believe that he'll get the 22nd pick right? How many people? How many people believe he'll get that draft pick right? Philly says I do. Flexens, he won't. Only if he trades up or down. He'll hit on it. I think hopefully. I'll take that bet too. Shut up, Jalen. Thanks for the super chat. I don't. Must not be confident. Relax. I'm thinking about it. He can't miss. There's a lot of talent. I think he does edge. It'll be great. If he goes DB, it'll be great. I think it would be hard not to get it right this year deep. He's not been good deep in the draft, though. I pointed out those draft picks, okay, over the last couple of years since, well, as an organization mostly. He trades for Surtain. Man, I like that. Devontae Smith for Patrick Surtain. That's the kind of deal you're talking there. That's an intriguing deal. That got me interested. And if you're Denver, that would get Denver. If you call Denver up and go, hey, man, we're in the middle of contract talks with Devontae Smith. We got A.J. Brown. And A.J., like many of you said, he's kind of young too. Do you go like this? And I think you can win more with A.J. on the field than Devontae on the field. Okay? Devontae Smith for Patrick Surtain, I might take that. We're not trading Smitty. You're not paying two wide receivers $20 million either. You're not. Offensive line, what he always does first round. And by the way, I'm going to make a point on that. Let me write that down. Because the offensive linemen, people are making this comment about the O-line. Okay? Diva Brown will be traded. He's got to be working on something. I think he is working on something. Got a lot of cap space still. And there's so many holes still to fill. I'll tell you this. How about this? How's this sound? You get Edgerrin Cooper and Patrick Surtain, and you put them in your defense. Does that fix your defense with Gardner Johnson and with a pass rusher and Huff? How does that make your defense look? Makes it look night and day. Makes it look night and day. You take Smitty off that offense, that's not really anything. And by the way, how about you do this? Check this out, Xander. So what if you do this? You trade Devontae Smith to the Broncos. Philly D, hear me out. Here's a projected trade that could help everyone. Devontae Smith pretty much gets the leftovers anyways. Before Jalen Hurts sees anybody, he only sees AJ first. Death row, follow me here. So you send Devontae Smith to Denver for Patrick Surtain, a more coveted position corner, right? You take the 53rd pick and the 22nd pick, you move up to 14, and you take Bowers. You add Bowers to your offense, and you draft a wide receiver. In the 4th round with the 120th pick. Would you be open to that? Think about this. Devontae Smith for Patrick Surtain. You take the 53rd and 22nd, move up to 14. For Bowers. And at 50, you take Edgerrin Cooper. You would add 2 defensive pieces. You would add 2 coveted positions that are mismatches. You need a great corner. You don't have them. You're overpaying for 2 mediocre corners. So get this. Flexen goes, I'm not with you on this. He's not with you. He's not with me on adding 2 great players to your team for 1 and drafting a linebacker at 53. Joe goes, entertaining hypothetical. So wait, you think they're not doing hypotheticals right now at NovaCare? You have no control of your draft right now. You're picking 22, guy. The draft falls to you. When you're picking at 22, it's a draft of circumstances. Okay? That's you have to be playing situations right now. Oh, okay. I got it, Flexing. Thank you. Okay, you've got to be playing war games here in a way. You're talking crazy for this one. Wait a minute. He thinks this is crazy. Devontae Smith for a wide receiver. Think about that for a second here. You're adding multiple players to your football team at the price of one and not paying $20 million. If they were thinking about extending Devontae, they must be thinking about moving on from AJ probably next year. Yeah, but you're not going to find a tight end like Bowers in next year's draft when you can get it. The Eagles could actually draft two players that could be generational players for their team for the next 10 years, and Jalen Carter. Okay. Well, James goes, you still got to pay Surtain. You're not going to pay $18 million. Why? You were paying $16 million for Darius Slay. You wouldn't pay another $4 million for a 26-year-old lockdown corner? You crazy? You make no sense on this. Listen how this guy says this doesn't make sense. This is crazy how this doesn't make sense. You trade a wide receiver who's not as good as the other guy, who wants as much money as the other guy, right? For a guy who is considered the best cover corner in the league. You're trading the 10th best or 12th best or 13th best wide receiver in pro football for the number one corner in the league, who's still on a rookie deal because they picked a 5th-year option up. So you get him this year and next year. You got 2 years still on a rookie deal. Okay? Then at 22, you could either do this. Add a receiver down there at 22. If Bowers is close, trade up. Or sit there at 22 and get a wideout. And then with the 50th and 53rd, draft your linebackers. You can go that route. I don't think you can move. Hey, Jalen, I don't think you can move off of AJ's cap hits. Yeah, I agree. I agree on one of the few things I agree with BJ on is that his cap hits are too high, so you can't really move until possibly next year. You still have to pay. I don't have to pay Patrick Surtain until 3 years. This year I don't have to pay him. He's still on his rookie deal. Next year it's $18 million. Well, shit, dude. You're paying, what are you paying Bradbury? 13? So you're telling me you don't want to pay an additional $4 million for the best corner, getting rid of one of those guys? He's still on a rookie deal this year. How are you paying him? He's on a rookie deal this year, and they just did the 5th-year option. You're not paying him $25. The Broncos picked the 5th year up. You're paying two corners that blow out loud $14 million a year. And you don't want to pay that guy who's better than both of them combined. Improving your defense for the next decade. Holy cow. And you're going to pay two guys $20 million, get 1,000 yards, and do dick with it again. Congratulations. You're going nowhere. 7 wins. Even more in cement. You refuse to do what Kansas City and New England did. Make the tough cuts and the tough trades. You guys are dummies. The remedy to winning Super Bowls is finding a quarterback and moving off of tough contracts. New England and Kansas City know what they're doing. You don't. You've got contracts on defense, and you've got contracts loaded on offense. Plain and simple. And it's why you get in your own way, because your general manager doesn't let things play out. You refuse to move off of tough. And get this, the Hassan Reddick thing. You moved, get this, the Kansas City Chiefs just moved off the best corner in some people's eyes in Snead. Why? because they believe in the draft picks that they drafted at corner. You can't draft corners. You can't draft corners. Let me ask you this. When's the last corner that was an all-pro corner or Pro Bowler that Howie drafted? Can you tell me? Anybody? Name me one corner that he's drafted. One. Name me one. All for Surtain? It's only Smitty. Name me one corner Howie Roseman has drafted. Lito Shepherd. Let's do this. Lito Shepherd. What was Lito Shepherd's last year in Philly? What was his last year? Let's take a look at that. Was 2008. That was his last year. His first year was 2004. Okay? 2004, you drafted a Pro Bowler. I mean, it's been 20 years since you drafted a Pro Bowl cornerback. And Xander just even corrected it too. Andy drafted him with Banner. Wasn't Howie. Howie's never drafted a corner that's been a Pro Bowler, and you want him to find one at 22? Are you high? He's never picked one. He's never picked a Pro Bowl corner. And he's the general manager of your team? And you think the Surtain thought is off the charts when you got to replace both your corners who are overpaid and underproductive. They had 3 INTs, and they both combined make $25 million. Wait, $26 million combined. They had 3 picks. 3 picks at $26 million, and you were the 28th worst pass defense in the league. Where's the value? Where's the value? And you think you're going to beat the Packers on the opening day with that combination and your Eagle pass linebackers. You're not thinking clearly. You refuse to make the tough decisions. And it's held you back from winning the multiple Super Bowls. Think about, Xander, check this out. Okay? Check this out. Okay? Whatever LJ's saying. If we had bad takes to his bet, talk, whatever. Okay, let me get back to something that makes sense here. If you think that guy is going to fix that side of the ball, it's why they get in their own way and they don't win more. That's the frustrating thing, once again, about Howie and the Eagles. They should be winning more Super Bowls. They just get there, then they can't stand it. He can't pick corners. He's never, in his entire professional general manager's career, picked a corner that was good. You overpay and underproduce. Howie hasn't drafted a Pro Bowl cornerback in 20 years. You could say the same thing for literally every team for different positions. Steve, How can Kansas City get it right with two dudes? How can Baltimore get it right all the time as a unit? What are you talking about? So for all the mistake, but here, Steve, check this out. So here's what Steve's saying. Other organizations. Well, watch this. Okay. So let's just use the kid McDuffie. If you went here, I'm going to show you something here. Jalen Reagor and McDuffie. And I'm going to make a point to you here. Jefferson and McDuffie. Okay. I'm not even going to talk about Jalen Reagor being, should have took Jefferson. That's not the argument here. Here. How many years has McDuffie been in the NFL? 2? He's on a rookie contract. He makes $1.4 million a year. Over the last 2 years, he makes $2.8 million. Last 2 years, Darius Slay has made 15 and 13. He makes $28 million. There's the economic failure. Then Jalen Reagor. Last 2 years, you've paid $50 million for AJ Brown. And the Vikings have paid 1.5 and 1.5. There's $3 million. Here's the economic failure that the Eagles have on their roster. You paid $50 million for a wide receiver over 2 years. You paid an additional $28 million in your DBs. You paid $80 million of failure picks because you didn't get the equity of the rookie contract, which you could spread out throughout your entire roster. And that's why Kansas City is winning, because they're young and cheap. You cover up your mistakes with bags of money and 1-year deals. And you don't get the equity of the rookie contracts. You're trying to tell me, again, you see, it's not just that you failed on the Jalen Reagor. How about this, Senor? It's not just the fact that you failed on the Jalen Reagor versus Jefferson. It's the money that you went out and spent for A.J. Brown, and why in 22 you not winning the Super Bowl? And you're not winning the Super Bowl? Well, and Steve goes, because of the quarterback. Well, that's what they're starting to do in Buffalo now. They're getting rid of dead weight money. And they're going to draft a rookie wide receiver. That's what they're going to do. And quite frankly, that's why Houston cut the back end of the 2 years off of Stephon Diggs. You know why? They didn't want to have that tied into their cap for the next 2 years. They traded the player. He's really a 1-year rental. They didn't want Stephon. Get this. The Houston Texans kind of want Diggs. Okay? Kind of want Diggs. Look at the money Howie wasted. Because if you're not winning Super Bowls, you spend $80 million on 11 wins. Here, how about this? 14 wins and 11 wins. Just on 2 players alone. That's 25 wins. You spend $80 million of dead money that you could have had on rookie contracts if you would have hit on your draft picks. Instead, that money gets appropriated to one side of the ball. Here. Let's do this one too. I mean, look at your cornerbacks. Your 2 cornerbacks cost you $25 million. The 2 cornerbacks in Kansas City cost them 3. And they got 2 Super Bowl wins. I don't know. That's the failure you have in your cap. Hey, look at this. DB goes, KC lost a cornerback. No, because they think the guy they drafted in a latter round in the last couple of years, like you guys think Isaiah Rodgers is going to be good. Well, they think they have somebody too. The teams, right. LJ said it. Mahomes. Well, Hurts ain't it. Nobody adds $10 million to a roster if they think the quarterback's it. They're not adding money in Kansas City. I'm sorry, Sills. We've been telling you for years that Howie sucks at drafting, but you said you blaming the GM. I never said he was a great drafter. I've told you the last 3 years since I got here, this guy sucks drafting when it comes to defensive football players. I never said he was good drafting. I never said that. Absolutely not. I've never, ever said that guy was a personnel guy. He came from the bookworm section. This guy's a librarian. He's not a personnel guy. He's a fucking librarian. Okay? And Hurts is not the guy. You don't add money to your huddle if you have the guy. You don't add it. They stripped down their offense and they stripped down their defense because of the quarterback. Who has Kansas City paid in the last 2 years? One guy. No, two, to be fair. Creed Humphreys and Chris Jones. And restructured Mahomes. Guy wanted a bag of money, Snead. They moved him. You have to add. You added money to your huddle. You added money to your offensive huddle because you don't have the confidence Hurts can do it himself. It's the only way you do that. Buffalo is convinced that Mahomes or that Allen can carry it. They dumped Diggs. That's how you build a roster. Reed, I said okay. I apologize, Prince. I apologize. My mistake. Howie, an awful drafter. A blind could have picked Devontae Smith. I didn't think Devontae Smith would hang in there. I thought he'd be more like Jamison Williams. I think he'd be more like Jamison Williams. Constantly hurt like that. I thought he'd be more like Jamison Williams. Okay? Ken says, Dano, they don't get it. No, they don't get it. They see the name on the back of the jersey and they just absolutely don't get it. That it's about structure and balance in your cap. If you don't have a balanced cap on both sides of the ball, you can't win on a consistent basis. That's why the Eagles are inconsistent when it comes to winning the championship. They're frustrating. It's the only organization in the NFL that should have 3 Super Bowl rings, and they have 1 because of control issues. Flat out, plain and simple. They should have more. As a matter of fact, the Philadelphia Eagles, under the Andy Reid and under all the rest of them, they should have at least 4. They should be the Patriots, but they can't handle it. But once again, you have to have the quarterback, and Philly's never had it. Shit. You want to hear something crazy? Carson Wentz was more Tom Brady than Jalen Hurts ever was. He didn't have anybody in the huddle throw the ball to except the tight end. Didn't have anybody. That's kind of a fact. So when you go into this draft, here's something else to take into consideration on this draft. And Xander, do you still think Howie's taking an OT at 22 if they stay there? Do you think they're taking that offensive tackle or offensive lineman if they hang at 22? Do you think, how many people think if they hang there at 22? Do they? Dave, yes. Philly D goes like this. Of course I'm not making sense to you because you don't get it. You have no idea what you're talking about. You'll listen to cheerleaders and tell you how things great. And so, wait, you don't really believe that you've underachieved as an organization and you haven't gotten in your own way? You got in your own way in 04 and you got in your own way in 2022. Really? You don't believe you should have won those 2 Super Bowls? I do. Okay? I'll say this to you. What's making it very difficult are these OTs. General managers right now are having problems doing this. So the Eagles are sitting at 22. And with these quarterbacks, get this, the lesser talent is moving up the draft charts. The J.J. McCarthy's, the Bo Nixes, the Michael Penixes. They're moving up. And the good players are moving down. But because of the quarterback position, it's moving the good players down. So if I'm sitting there at 22, like the Eagles, and I'm looking at this guy, and I see this, and I'm sitting there, and Talasi Fuaga's sitting there in front of me. Do I pass on that guy when he could be the next Lane Johnson? I mean, do I pass on J.C. Latham? Do I pass on Jared Verse? He's an edge. Do I pass on Graham Barton? I mean, the kid Mims. Do I pass on these guys when they're ready-made starting offensive tackles right now where you could plug him in to play right guard immediately? Do you just pass on a guy who could be a starter for you for a guy you're not sure? So it's making it harder now to go, well, do I take Lassiter from Georgia? Well, what if the kid's sitting there and what if you got a guy in there and you got Cooper DeJean? Are you going to draft Cooper DeJean before you're going to draft Fontenot, the kid from Washington, who could start for you right now? I don't know, man. I don't know if I could just do this. If I'm sitting in the draft room and I'm sitting at 22 and I got those great tackles. Dude, I gave you 10 tackles that have first-round gradings on them. I've never seen anything like that. Am I going to take Cooper DeJean, who I'm not sure of, versus a guy who's a ready-made offensive lineman who could step into your football team and you have a hole at right guard right now, and Steen could be your swing guy, you automatically improve your offensive line overnight. That's already one of the top 3 units. You're paying $50 million for a quarterback. And the Eagles have shown that they're not going to spend $5 on an O-line. Do they just pass on a ready-made guy? I don't think so. And I don't know if I would. It's not sexy. Okay? It's not sexy. But can you just pass on somebody for a project? Sam says all picks have to be defense. That's the conversation. Okay? That's the conversation that I have with my coaches, though. I get it. They have to be defense. But you're going to take more of a gamble. There's more of a gamble on the defensive players in this draft. It's a wide receiver and offensive tackle draft. It's not a corner draft. There's 3 here's the 3 edge rushers. Letu from UCLA, Dallas Turner, Verse, and Chop. So there's 4. And they're ranked. I happen to like Verse more than Chop, but Verse isn't going to be there at 22. So I got Verse, Chop, Dallas Turner, who I think is good, and Latu, who I think also could be a very good player. Okay? And Twiz, Baldy's high on Cooper DeJean. So he played against Ohio State wide receivers once. Who else in the Big Ten? Michigan don't throw the ball. Who else? There's no Michigan wide receiver that's projected to go in the first round. I must have missed that guy. Indiana? Is there a Penn State wide receiver here? I must have missed that. I don't see it. Nebraska? Who's he playing against? I mean, what cornerback from the Big Ten do you go, oh, man, they produced really great cornerbacks in that conference? I don't know. I think there's 3 teams. Listen here. This is how you know the strength of the conference. If you take Michigan and Ohio State out of the Big Ten, it's the Big 12. It's the Big 12. When you're in the Southeastern Conference, I mean, you got A&M, Georgia, Florida. Every one of those schools are going to have kids in the top 40 picks. Okay, Northwestern in the Big Ten. Iowa's a pretty decent school. Don't get me wrong. I like Kirk Ferentz. They do, Twiz. I would, especially at the tight end position as of late. Taylor goes, only get your corners out of the Southeastern Conference. That's because they play against those top flight wide receivers. Mike Evans, A&M, Justin Jefferson, LSU, George Pickens, Georgia, Devontae Smith, Alabama, Pitts, Georgia, Florida. I can go down the list of all the top flight kids that have gone into the NFL were premium picks. Jamar Chase, thank you. Cincinnati. It goes on. And they're playing against the best corners. Patrick Surtain. I mean, look at the guys that are in that secondary down there that get drafted every year. I mean, I look at the competition people play too. Mari Cooper. That's right, Mari Cooper, Alabama. Okay. So those offensive tackles are making it tough. Let me take a quick timeout. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz and Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Kamara, Colorado State is pretty good. I thought he wreaked havoc death row in that Colorado game. He was pretty good in that Colorado game. Mountain West. He's not awful. But I don't think he's a first round pick. Okay? I don't think he's a first round pick. Chop is Nolan Smith. Actually, he's 255 pounds. Nolan Smith weighs the same amount as a salt shaker. Okay? He weighs the same amount as a salt shaker. Roseman missed on the 2022 third round and 2023 first and fourth round. Not good. Yeah, and I would imagine that most of those picks are defensive picks. I mean, think about that. Those are like first round picks. You just cut a guy last year that was a third round linebacker. Everyone just kind of scoots over that. I think over the last 3 years, he's cut two linebackers he's drafted in the third round. Guy can't draft linebackers and corners, and yet you want him to draft a corner at 22? Why? Why would you want him? Why would you want him to do that? Sills, would you trade the 22nd for Surtain and AJ for picks? I'm not trading the 22nd and AJ for Patrick Surtain. I'll trade you AJ for Surtain. But I'm not going to trade you the 22nd pick. I'm not, because the 22nd pick, I'm going to draft a wide receiver then. And I may parlay the 22nd pick in the 53rd pick and go up and get maybe on a rookie contract. I may go up and get Dunza. Romo Dunza. But I'm not giving you the 22nd and AJ or the 22nd and Devontae for Patrick Surtain. Not when 2 and 5s were surrendered for Snead. I'm not giving that much equity up. All right. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. Joe, Xander, thank you again. Guys, please do me a favor. Hit the like button. 2 to 6 tomorrow. And we shall see you on the flip side.